looks like everybody's in. Can you guys hear me?
Hello, hello. Yes, I can hear you.
Perfect. Are you there, Justin? Seems like the audio's a little.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm here.
okay, nice.
Can you hear me?
Yep, yeah, it's better now. Sick. And then,
Perfect.
nice. Okay, and Patrick is in chat. Perfect. Okay, so how have you guys been? Yeah, I know. Obviously Patrick has to answer a little bit differently, and I didn't see you super long ago, Justin, but still, okay, 7 out of 10.
7 out of 10.
Not bad.
In magic related things, I'm a 10 out of 10. I
Okay,
just did another draft and I won that, which was awesome. So
sick.
that was really fun.
What kind of draft was it?
It was just like a classic vintage cube, but I drafted a really sweet Grixis Doomsday and basically went undefeated with that.
Nice. That sounds sick. When you said when you won a draft, I was like, oh my god, did Justin just trophy a chaos draft and then not even tell us? Like,
Oh my god, I wish. I wish. They don't get enough people in there for like an actual pod. So
yeah. Ian
All right,
was
I'm
really
back.
trying to sell me though when I was talking to him last. Um, does everyone like? Do you know if Ernesto and Patrick also know Ian?
Yeah.
um
Wait,
I
a
think
comedian?
no.
Oh no, then no.
They
Ian
might have met him
Braverman.
once at
Yeah.
he's
Uh,
got he's got rosy cheeks and curly hair.
that doesn't narrow it at all, dude.
It actually does.
Be realistic. It doesn't narrow it at all.
How many people do you know with rosy cheeks and curly hair?
Half the MTG community. Am I wrong?
Doesn't really matter which cheeks though. Like if you've seen one
True.
of them, you've seen them all.
True.
Oh my god. Okay.
Even slapped them out.
Let me see. I'm trying to stay focused here
They,
because otherwise
they know
I'm
what
just
you mean.
never gonna I'm never gonna start. So let's figure out the order
True,
here.
true, true, true.
So Patrick's gonna have to go last because he's typing, so that'll be slowest probably. So then, do
Yeah,
either
he's
of you
already
guys want to talk first?
sure.
Okay, was
Sure,
that
I don't mind. You wanna go first, Justin?
Yeah, that's okay.
all right? Sick. Okay, let's hop in. Nice pack of Eldraine here. It's a powerful set of
Yeah, it's
magic
really
cards.
small.
It's a basic mountain at the bottom. We can just
That's
ignore that. All right.
gotta go full screen. Okay.
So yeah, if you need me to like hover over anything, just let me know. And Justin, take it away if you're going first. That is.
Okay. I'm gonna look at them all.
I have three options in my head from this.
Okay.
Same.
Okay. So
So I'm just gonna spit it out
yeah.
and then see if Justin agrees or not. It's outflank, outmuscle, and thriller possibility for me.
Okay.
For me, it's probably Emperor Paladin, Outmuscle, and I actually do like the Carver too.
Gotcha. Okay. Um, and then I'll give Patrick a chance to type something. But do you guys want to talk about like why you're into the cards you mentioned? Because you guys both mentioned three. It's kind of a lot. So
Yeah, well, I think Outmuscle is like good because it's not really in Green's color pie to have removal, like you taught us 6 months ago. Um, and it's a little expensive, but like it's pretty decent at what it does. But it has a heavy green requirement, which I don't love. Um, I do like, some of the red cards, but I mean, either 4 or 5 mana for those. Like the Ember Paladin, fine. That's another Adamant spell, like a 5/2 haste. It's okay for 4 mana. But like it's not going to trade favorably, and I mean, you really need trample on this to be effective. Um, Throw the Possibility is also pretty good. I mean, it's just card filtering. I'm not like amazed to like first pick it, And then like the Carver is pretty decent too because it's not terrible rate. Like a 4 mana 3/2, it's okay. And like having a good combat trick for 2 is pretty useful. Like I think I always value adventure cards pretty highly, especially in chaos drafts where you want to get the most out of your cards. So for me, it's probably between the Carver, Outmuscle, and Thrill. There's a lot of like decent green in this pack and a lot of decent red in this pack. Outflank doesn't do it for me at all though, because it's the number of creatures you control, and like that can be pretty inconsistent at times. So I want consistency in my spells.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. How about
Okay,
you,
so
Ernesto?
my argument for why outmuscle of flank and thrill is easy because it's just digs. It's just card advantage. That's it. An instant speed. That's it. There's nothing more to this. I think I will rather pick out muscle because even as Justin was saying that it's a heavy commitment to green, by default, green has bigger creatures, and you are already gonna have advantage while you're fighting something. And this also puts a counter on it that doesn't go away. So if even if you don't get the adamant for some reason, by the nature of green, you're gonna have an advantage on this. That would be my first pick. The second pick will probably be Thrill, and then Outflank, mostly because Outflank is white, and white also leans heavy into amount of creatures, into a lot of creatures, a lot of small tokens, and this can easily turn into 1 mana Sunlands, basically, at instant
Gotcha.
speed, which is it's pretty relevant.
Sure.
My main gripe on why I don't like the Paladin is because it's a 4/1 with no trample. So it gets blocked by anything under the sun and just dies and doesn't do anything.
Yep, hates
So
trample.
if it had trample, that would be a completely different story. But this guy
Yep.
has haste, so it doesn't do it for me. The Carver is nice. That would probably be like a good choice, especially because he kind of looks like Post Malone. I don't know. I At least the blurriness does it for me.
I can't unsee
Uh,
it now. Yeah, you're right.
it's Post Malone. But I will pick out Muscle because it's the least, how to say it, requirement for a card to do its thing. It's the most open of the cards to be effective.
Good.
The rare card, it's useless. We are not gonna have enough knights in chaos. We're not gonna pick that. Then the oven, we need some workaround. Sure, if someone passes us the cat, oh, we're Gucci. But the chances of that are astronomically low, so I cannot even consider it. I don't know. That for me, I think my pick will be Outmuscle, and a close second will be Thrill.
Makes
I
sense.
would probably thinking about Shining Armor, but not as a first pick. Probably like a fourth, fifth pick.
It needs a knight though. You're not gonna always have a knight. That's so hard to do.
Hmm. But it gets a chunker with Vigilance. If you put in a flyer, it's very hard to get rid of it. Again, it's not first pick. My first pick for me will be at Muscle because of everything I've said before.
I
Gotcha.
agree.
And I think Patrick is also talking about that he likes Carver too.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the third bullet point is from Patrick, but it does look like a okay. Yeah. So I'll just
It's called Suspense, Max.
okay, yeah. But
It's
yeah,
called
yeah.
Suspense.
Okay, so just to reiterate what Patrick's saying, so any adventure is 2 cards in one, so it's card advantage, and then thrill is decent card advantage. So I wanted to start by
Bill's
saying
not card advantage though.
I wanted to start by saying
That's
that
not.
I am impressed. Like you guys are definitely starting at like more of a solid place, at least in my opinion, than when we started the first time. So that means something about my blabbing stuck with you, which is great. Like just for instance, listening to what Justin was saying about Outmuscle was really nice to hear about it more or less being outside of Green's Colored Pie. Like the thing is, like it's not a color pie break or bend necessarily in the sense that it is normal green interaction with creatures, but like if you go back through Magic's history, there are very few cards like this from like the super old sets, like 15 years ago or something. And so getting something like Outmuscle is actually like, it's pretty hard to do. Yeah. Yeah, you caught me, Ernesto. I'm using a browser for for Discord. But anyway, I also wanted to draw attention to Thrill and Carver, the two other cards I feel like you guys talked about most, which I think are pretty much the next most interesting picks. And then I want to come back to Outmuscle. So yeah, the thing about and actually no, let's start with the Paladin. So the Paladin, you guys were kind of referring to it sometimes as a 4/1, sometimes as a 5/2, which like I think one of you referred to it as each thing. And it's funny because like that is kind of how it is, right? Like it's never like always a 5/2 unless you're somehow mono red, which is pretty hard to do. And most of the time it probably is a 4/1. And you guys were talking about trample, and I remember Justin said like, it's going to trade and it's going to trade down, which I think is accurate. The thing about trample that I am not totally with you guys about is like, even with trample, it's still not a very good card. Because if I told you there's a card that says like 4 mana, 4/1 haste, when it enters the battlefield, it deals like 3 damage to your opponent or something, and like, I don't know, it's still just going to trade for like their random like 1/1 or 2/2, it's still going to trade down. You just get a couple points of damage in. So trample is a form of evasion, and you do need evasion for the Embereth Paladin, like for that body to actually be worth something. But trample specifically is not really going to cut it, in my opinion. Then there's the
Sure, but
Garandrig.
Searing Blaze is a card, you know?
Yeah.
Searing Blaze exists? I'm just joking. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there are the more aggressive strategies for sure are ones where it's going to be better to do that kind of thing. But then going on to the Carver and the Thrill, which both of those have been called card advantage, and then Justin was saying they're not card advantage. So like, is it card advantage? Technically, the thing about Thrill is if it were just divination, right? If it just said draw 2 cards, then you're spending 1 card, right? The Thrill itself, and you're drawing 2. But it does ask you to discard a card. So when you think of it like that, you're actually on parity, right, for cards, because you spent 2 cards, you get 2 cards. But the thing about Thrill is normally when you're casting it and discarding something, the card you're discarding sucks. Usually it's like a land that you don't need for any reason. Or maybe, it's the start of the game, you kept a 2-lander and then you missed your 3rd land drop, and you're going to cast Thrill on turn 3 to find a land. So it's on parity, but that doesn't mean it's like bad per se, right? It's card filtering. So like particularly in the late game when a land is not appealing to you, like that's the time when it's going to be yeah, the Paladin has been discarded for sure. But yeah, the late game is when Thrill is going to be strongest to just keep churning through your deck. But it does have that flexibility in the early game too. Carver, on the other hand, is card advantage, right? Because if you're able to use that adventure to get a card's worth of value and then you play the 3/2, then yeah, you effectively got 2 cards for your 1 card. And the really important thing to note about the Carver is a 4 mana 3/2 is like wretched, right? Like that is a horrible rate. But the reason that the card works is because it's offset. You're not casting this thing necessarily on turn 4, right? The plan is to play Shields Might probably the first chance you get, and then eventually you're going to cast the Carver. Maybe it's on turn 4, maybe it's later. But the point is, it's less about how much mana you're paying for it, and it's more about the fact that you're just getting an extra card out of the deal. And then, yeah, just to go back to Outmuscle. So yeah, removal is always just such a high priority in Magic in general, like whether it's Chaos Draft or something else. But a big reason why it's particularly potent in Chaos is because it's so scarce, and specifically for green, as we were talking about. So making the creature indestructible too with the Adamant, again, it's not always something you're going to be able to do, but it's nice for a couple reasons. It helps the creature survive the fight, but then even if you've put some damage on the creature after fighting, suddenly you get to go ahead and attack with it, and you don't have to worry about it dying in combat, right? One of the downsides normally of having a creature fight is then there's damage marked on it. Maybe you don't get to use it that turn, but that doesn't exist with the Adamant there. and it's even splashable. You know, there's only one colored pip in it. You don't have to worry about the adamant. So I'm very happy to start with that card. Good to see you, by the way, Wacky. Does that sound good to you guys? Does that make sense?
Yep.
Nice. Okay.
I think we all agree on that one.
Yeah. It was nice to hear you guys both mention out muscle. It's like you guys both had some different ideas. Oh, Cinderwall time.
Well, we gotta pick it, you know. It's time.
Oh my
It's the
god.
comeback. We have to now.
Shit.
We didn't make it very far before the
Oh.
Cinderwall appeared out of
Okay,
nowhere.
gotta say something. This pack is trash.
That's
Well, yeah, of
super
course, but
reasonable. Yeah.
This
We can
pack
find
is
it.
so trash.
Actually, Fertile Ground is pretty decent.
I think it's the only one because we are not picking Natural
Yeah.
Affinity. We are not
I
picking
mean,
Affinity.
it's fine ramp. Like, I would play Fertile Ground. Like, that's been in Vintage Cube.
Yeah, I kind of see that. If
It's
okay,
color
let's say Fertile Ground isn't here. Obviously, Cinderwall is obviously not here because we will pick that.
Then we take the trained Armadon.
Yep, that's what I was thinking. Actually, hot take, or maybe lukewarm take. I will take the Griffin
Okay.
because
Yeah.
evasion with first strike is, especially if we have out muscle, that's pretty good. It becomes
Yeah.
a 3/3 flyer first strike. That's pretty good. It's only one white. I kind of like that over Fertile Ground
Yeah.
actually.
No, I think everything's below Fertile Ground. Like, it's fixing its ramp. It's fine.
But it only. You're wasting the whole turn two.
Yeah, I don't want 2 for it. Like, I don't think you're wasting it. You're going up. Now you can cast your Might on turn 3, what we first picked. I think Fertile Ground's decent enough.
All right, Patrick, what's up? Please don't tell us, Circle. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I want to hear more from Patrick too. But yeah, in the meantime, while Patrick's typing some stuff,
Whoa.
oh, fuck green is his response. Okay.
This coming from the Salvala main, by the way.
That's
This
fair.
guy plays Salvala in EDH for years. By the way.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
he's taking a fugitive wizard.
Fertile Ground is greater than
I agree.
Cinderwall. It's greater than the rest of the pack, it sounds like. Nice. Okay.
No love for Raging Goblin.
Let's see. So, Justin, I think you had mentioned the trained Armadon. Is that right? Or wait, no. Maybe that was Ernesto.
No, I mentioned. I agreed that the Armadon is it's a pickable card.
Mhm.
Yeah,
But
agree
I
with
think
that.
I will pick Griffin over the ground, even though we're straying from the first pick. Mostly because again, Muscle is such a good card.
Gotcha. Good to see you, by the way, Ermath. Okay. Yeah. So already, I mean, maybe it's just because. Yeah, that's right, Wacky. I'm here. I should maybe, I don't know. I could put them in the stream title or something. I'm here with Justin and Ernesto in the voice call, and then Patrick's phoning in, just typing stuff in the chat. It sounds like he's not able to join us on voice this time, but he's still here. He's sending lots of hilarious messages. He says he's here in spirit. Yeah. Anyway. We have a nice like Casper kind of GIF. Okay.
How
So
can you type so much without me on your arm?
I don't know. He's killing it. Yeah. So maybe it's just because the pack is weaker. Not totally sure, but I think you guys are doing like a super solid job. Just like narrowing it down to the cards that are exciting. Unfortunately, it's not the Cinderwall for us. But yeah, there are 3 cards that I am interested in this pack. 2 of them are green. 1 of them is white. The white card is not Circle of Protection. Sorry, Patrick. So yeah, I also like the Armadon. I also like the Fertile Ground, and I also like the Razorfoot Griffin. And so I want to start by talking a little bit about the trained Armadon. So this card I think is just a totally solid rate. 3 mana for a 3/3, particularly in Old Magic, is like literally as good as it gets. Like this is just exactly what you want in your 3-drop slot. So then the question for us is just like, well, how high of a priority is that, right? Like, are we taking 1 second? And it's not like horrible or embarrassing to take 1 second. You can even think about the fact that it has 2 green pips as like kind of being offset by that adamant on outmuscle. It's like, well, we probably already want to be heavy green for the oh, looks like Ernesto's entered chat. Good to see you, by the way. Yeah, so we probably already want to be like heavy green for the adamant, right? So then the heavy green for the Armadon's maybe not a huge cost. But there's still a couple super interesting options, despite being very simple in nature. So I want to talk about the fertile ground because I imagine I'm going to get the most pushback on this. So the thing about fertile ground is it is powerful, right? It's 2 mana and it's ramp and it's fixing, and it's really tough to interact with. Like most of the time, this is going to let you go like 2 drop into 4 drop. I think it would be defensible to take this. I don't know anything about Saltburn, sorry, Patrick. But yeah, like the one issue about Fertile Ground is I'm just not in love with green. If you were telling me I got a card that was fixing, even just like a colorless piece of fixing, without the ramp, I would be pretty excited about it because it keeps me open and it's the start of the draft. But Fertile Ground is kind of fake fixing because, like, yes, it does fix your mana, but it requires you to be green. And that's such a steep cost to be in the color without interaction and generally without evasion, which is why, like, the green card that we took is something that allows us to play green if we want to. It's also a green card that's worth splashing, which is pretty unusual. So although Razorfoot Griffin is, like, I think you could say, at least at high power levels, clearly a much weaker card than Fertile Ground, I actually like Razorfoot Griffin a lot. It's one of those cards where, like, yeah, it's a little bit overcosted, right? 4 mana for a 2/2 flyer with first strike. It's like, yeah, I would really love like one more point of toughness on there. But the thing about it having flying and first strike pretty much means it's just going to be relevant later in the game in ways that, like, Scathe Zombies won't be, right? Like being able to profitably block with like this card itself, the Griffin, or potentially multiple first strikers is really big game. Being able to get in evasive damage at a point where your opponent has the ground kind of locked up. It's a card that affects the board state more than a lot of the other cards. And then we have the added bonus of now we're passing a pack with 2 pretty solid green cards. We're taking pretty much the only good white card out of it. So that's not like the basis for our decision, but we get some signaling points there.
What you're saying is we should have picked Outflank instead of Outmuscle. I got you.
Not quite, no.
That's a bad card.
Yeah. What I'm saying
try
is,
casting it with your 4 drops.
yeah, a lot of people like Fertile Ground, and I don't blame you, but I just want my cards to, like, do something. I would say, like, there's actually one case here where I would be pretty happy to take the Fertile Ground, and it's specifically if we started with a green bomb. Because if we started with a green bomb, then that, like, pushes us over the edge into wanting to play green, like, way, way, way more. Whereas Outmuscle is merely, like, a very solid card that is splashable. So we have no, like, I think something Ernesto was trying to say before about the Outmuscle is it's like the least committal option. And so, we don't want to be or need to be committal. We don't need to take this Fertile Ground. If we could expect the Trained Armadon to wheel, let's say this is pack 2 or something, and it seems like green is open, then yeah, sure, Fertile Ground is great. But at this point, we don't really know what's up. So I'm happy to just take a Razorfoot Griffin. It's going to affect the board state.
I feel like that mentality that you told us in Madison, always trying to keep open and trying to not to commit until the last moment, is something that stuck with me. And it's a philosophy that I kind of, the background of my head is always working when I'm trying to draft Cube.
Mm-hmm.
But drafting Cube is much harder because you see, like, oh, I got a Black Lotus, I'm gonna break something. Or, oh, I got a, I don't know, like, what's the bird, the Boros bird? I got the Boros bird, so I'm just gonna play Boros.
Like
good stuff.
Othari or whatever.
It's kind of harder in Cube. Yeah. Sorry, that one. And anyway, if you open a bomb that already sets you in colors, sure, you're gonna play that. But I think that mentality of keeping open and not committing is core to a lot of drafting.
Yeah,
Regardless of chaos or cube or regular drafting, I think that's important. In chaos, it shows that it's even more important trying to not to commit until you see something that, oh, this is it. Like it shapes your whole deck around this thing.
for sure. Yeah, I would say like one of the most important differences between cube and chaos, like particularly like a high-powered cube, like the one you're describing, one that would have Othari and Black Lotus, is like there's never going to be a point in a cube like that where you're like, oh crap, what if I don't get enough playables, or what if I have to run bad cards in my deck? Because every card in a cube like that is going to be good, unless the designer is very silly. So like sure maybe some cards will be narrow, but ultimately like you will not have Raging Goblin in a pack. You will not have Fugitive Wizard. Well, maybe you'll have Bomat Career, which is basically Raging Goblin, but whatever. You will not have Fugitive Wizard in a pack, or Scathe Zombies, right? So you're not going to be at risk of like basically just a fail rate where your deck doesn't work. Whereas in Chaos, the most important thing is to have like to read signals so you have like above average card quality, basically. Just like have a deck that functions better than your opponents. You're just looking for consistency at the end of the day. So, yeah, all right.
I guess that shows more the lower in power you're drafting.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So we now have a pack where I don't have to scroll up or down. Bottom card is a swamp, so I assume that means Patrick's going to want to take it. And
Oh my god, what is this pack?
that's a pack of Magic Origins, it looks like.
I think the best card in the pack is probably Claustrophobia. I mean, that does invalidate like a couple of what we've taken so far. Like I think Enclave Naturalist is fine. It might actually find some use. But if we're purely picking on power level, Claustrophobia is where you want to be.
I agree
So
with this. I agree.
I would probably just take the Claustrophobia, even though it's another color. But I really do think it's far above anything else you could want here.
I agree with this, and the only reason I would pick Naturalists over Claustrophobia if this was pack 2 and we were already stacked to remove. And I don't know how much naturalized effects we need in Chaos Draft that one is on UMAX to enlighten us. So I think I agree with that. Claustrophobia is the pick. It's just good overall.
For sure. We have Patrick in the chat talking about Conclave Naturalist versus the Circle of Protection. He's got his own like meta game going on, which I love.
The man is cooking.
He is cooking. He's absolutely cooking. Yeah, so just to talk a little bit about the naturalists, and one of the funny things too is like it's easy to look at the cards in the pack and say like, well, there's Claustrophobia in the pack, but there's also naturalists, and naturalists is a 4/4 plus a kill on the Claustrophobia, right? So it must be better. Of course, that's not always how it works. Like playing in pod like this, like assuming we're going to play against the other people who, we're drafting with, the 7 bots, it does add a little bit of value to the naturalists. But the biggest reason, like the thing that would make me most excited about it, is just like having some kind of knowledge of what the other packs are. So like if I know that there are just a ton of very artifact centric packs or enchantment centric packs, then I have like a higher level of confidence that the naturalist is going to be a 2-for-1, because like casting a 5-mana 4/4 is fine. Like you're not embarrassed to do it in Chaos Draft, but it's not something I want to be taking here, right? There are much better cards in the pack than a 5-mana 4/4. So like if that is a very realistic floor for this card, like, what are we going to do to mitigate that? Like, how are we going to find an option that's better? I do want to ask you guys what you think about one card in the pack. What do you guys think about Lightning Javelin?
If it wasn't sorcery, I will be all over it.
That's fair.
I think it's a fine card. I just think Claustrophobia is better. I think like the cards that I'm looking at are Claustrophobia, Bounding Crassus, Conclave, and the Javelin. the javelin could be a close second, just because it's another form of removal and it's, the scry is definitely useful. I think it would be a more interesting pack if claustrophobia wasn't here, and then we were talking between like naturalist and javelin. I think javelin could be a second pick though.
Gotcha. Yeah, okay, that's
I
fair.
think I will pick the naturalist over the javelin, personally.
Okay, also reasonable. And then let's see. I missed some messages here from Patrick. So we're going to see artifacts and enchantment, but are there any worth playing? Yeah, it's a great question. So for instance, like blowing up somebody's mantle of webs, yeah, not very exciting. And then yeah, blowing up like the witch's cauldron or whatever, probably not something you're very excited about. When you say we want gold, yeah, the Krasis is certainly good. Like the rate on that card is awesome for sure. 3 mana, 3/3 flash, and then untap something. I really like. So when I was looking at this pack originally, for me it was kind of a toss up between the javelin and the claustrophobia because I really want to be able to interact. But I really like the arguments you guys made for claustrophobia. Like at the end of the day, the javelin, even though it is just like a totally solid interactive card in my opinion, and I think I would take it over naturalists. Like claustrophobia is simply 3 mana to lock down something regardless of the size of what you're affecting. The major problem with claustrophobia is the fact that there are 2 blue pips in it. But ultimately, yeah, it's a very powerful card. It doesn't care about what you're locking down. The other thing about taking removal is you're basically accounting for variance. Like if we think about the start of our draft, we were talking about how well like we might have taken the fertile ground if we opened a green bomb, but that's just not what happened. So instead, we're looking to basically think about, okay, well, what happened if the other people at the table opened bombs? How are we going to beat the decks that they're drafting, right? And just as much interaction as we can get, a card like Claustrophobia is going to help level the playing field. So, I don't know. I think this is a very solid pick. I like the arguments you guys made for it. Took me off of the Lightning Javelin pick that I was at least considering. So, yeah, I think I'm down to take this. And then, yeah, we can, yeah, there's a very real, well, this pack in particular might be a little on the thin side to wield a Crisis, but like, yeah, wheeling a gold card is a super reasonable thing to plan to do, Patrick. I agree. Okay. Nice pack of a Monket here. This was one of the first sets I drafted in paper many times.
Oh boy, it's Justin's favorite land, the desert.
All right, so any thoughts here?
I'm looking at personally at Painful Lesson, Illusory Wrappings, and Fan Better. Because Icy Manipulator is a very good card, and just the ability that is colorless, so you can just tap whatever lands for it. It's strong. It is very strong. Painful Lesson is just divination, and you lose your life, whatever. It's good. And Illusory Wrappings is you make something a wall. Yeah, it still has abilities, but it's a wall, basically. So I don't know. Those are the three I'm looking at. I'm considering Soul Stinger because if it's a 4-drop, most of the time you're gonna have some creature that you're just gonna pitch and basically kill it. And when it dies, it can kill something else, and that's. Oh no! You had to. Oh, you had to target itself.
You don't have
So I don't
to.
like many cards in this pack.
No,
I
if you
think
want to have the ability, I mean.
Right,
Second
yeah.
ability.
Or you would have to
No.
put -1/-1 counters on it from another source, but yeah.
I could also see bluffs being a pick if we really need to fix because claustrophobia again is 2 blue pips. It's something. But I think I will go with one of those 4 cards. I'm leaning more the better
Wait,
because we
hold on a
already
second.
white.
Those 4, we have fewer cards in the pack, and now there are more cards to choose from. What's going on?
What I'm looking at lesson, bluffs, wrappings, and better.
Okay.
So the 2 in the middle bottom row and the 2 on the right on the top row.
Gotcha. Okay. How are you feeling about this, Justin?
I like either the top crop skirmisher because it's not terrible, but it is basically two cards in one because you'll get to play it again. Um, I think Fanbearer is just a really good card in general. It's a little expensive, but and then I also think like Impeccable Timing isn't isn't the worst card. I think for me, Fanbearer um, is probably the card I would go for.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. So it looks like Patrick's been talking about the lizard, the lesson, and the fan bearer. Yeah. All right. So it's funny. I was trying to give you a little bit of crap, Ernesto, because you guys started out talking about like I like these three cards, and now we're down to 12 cards in the pack, and you're like, well, I like these four cards, um, but no, this pack actually, in my opinion, has a pretty like solid level of card quality. Like there are multiple cards that are actually like super reasonable in this pack. In my mind, there's still like a clear card I would take that's not very close to the others. But there are a bunch of cards from this pack I would not be embarrassed to put in my deck, which is not something that's been true of the other packs. So let's see, where do we want to start? Yeah, so one thing I guess about the Talk Crop Skirmisher, yeah, so I like what you were saying about that, Justin. Like, it is effectively two cards for one. You do have to trade it off, and trading off a 2/1 can be tough because, like, let's say your opponent just has like a 1/3, right? Like, it might just be brick walled and do nothing. Um, Wacky says, I like it because it's not terrible. Justin gets it. So it might be kind of hard to leverage both cards. But one of the things about blue specifically, and you may or may not remember this from last time, is like blue really has a hard time with 2 drops. So especially if we were already committed to blue, like that top crop skirmisher starts looking a lot better, right? Because it's a way to actually fill out the curve and play a 2 drop you're not super embarrassed by. To mention some of the other cards you guys were talking about, so Soul Stinger, a little bit similar, where it's like, yeah, you really have that 2-for-1 potential. Like you can, sure, maybe your opponent put a claustrophobia on one of your creatures, and then you put the two -1/-1 counters on that, and then you just have a 4 mana 4/5. 4 mana 4/5 is like certainly good, but it's just not particularly exciting. Like if you think about like a 5 mana 4/5, which a lot of the time is like on rate in chaos, it's like, well, that's like a good card. That's not like a super exciting card. So like to jump through some hoops to try to get a 4 mana 4/5, not that great. And so what that means is for Soul Stinger to be like really, a particularly solid card, it's going to have to be decent to put the counters on itself most of the time. And thankfully, in my opinion, it is like really good to do that. We've been talking about evasion and how the ground can get gummed up pretty easily. A card like Soul Stinger can do that very, very easily, right? You just have this 2/3, and then suddenly like maybe your opponent's looking at their like 3/2 Thresher Lizard, and they're like, well, if I attack into the Soul Stinger, then like it's gonna trade, and then I'm gonna lose like another X2. Like it's just ugly. That said, Thresher Lizard in particular does have that nice ability where once you go lower on cards, it becomes a more relevant threat. But in terms of the black cards, I'm also a fan of Painful Lesson. The one thing about Painful Lesson and cards like this is they're so tempo negative, right? You're playing this card and it just does not affect the board. Sure, whatever very small percentage of the time you're going to play this, your opponent's going to be at 1 or 2 life and you're going to kill them with it. But most of the time this has to target you, and for you not to fall behind on board basically means the packs opened either need to be on the older side or your deck needs to play very, very well to the board. So like an example of a deck that does that is red black. Red black is normally like all creatures and removal. And it's actually really hard for red black to get card advantage. So something like Painful Lesson in a red black deck can be like an especially solid card there. And then speaking of removal, playing to the board, that kind of thing, we have a couple like kind of clunky, not very good interactive cards. One of them is Impeccable Timing, one of them is Illusory Wrappings. So Impeccable Timing is nice. The one issue with it, well, I guess there are a couple issues. It's nice that it works on attacks and blocks. but 3 damage to an attacker or blocker isn't a ton, and you're kind of setting yourself up potentially to be blown out by a combat trick with this card. Like, imagine, they attack with their 2/2, you play impeccable timing and they have giant growth. Like, that feels really bad. The annoying thing about illusory wrappings is a little bit similar. You're basically leaving them with a chump blocker. So it's almost like playing a card. It's like, here, I'm going to sort of answer your threat, except you can still bounce it, you can still disenchant it, all the normal stuff that you can do to mess up an enchantment, but they can also block with it. And it doesn't say that it like loses its abilities or anything either. So like tap abilities, for instance, like with claustrophobia, you don't get to use tap abilities anymore, but with wrappings, you still would. And what better segue than to talk about the best card in the pack, which has a tap ability. And I'm not talking about Lord of the Accursed, because Fanbearer is an awesome card. Tappers are great. This one's 1 mana. The 1/2 body can be relevant. And 2 generic mana to tap something is like, it's not ideal. Like when you're tapping something down for 1 mana, like you really did it. Like I remember Ernesto, you were talking about Icy Manipulator. Like that's a super sick card, partially because of how cheap it is to activate. But Fanbearer is still a very, very nice card. I'm quite excited to get one here, 4th pick. So, yes, repeatable value, always good.
Yep.
Yeah. All right.
It's basically a colorless claustrophobia that you can just choose.
Right, except it's
When
it's like more flexible. And the trick with a tapper where, you get to tap one thing down on their turn and then one thing down on your turn potentially to like force through lethal can be such a big swing too. So now we're looking at this pack.
And I like the Siren because it's the only evasion. 3/2 for 4. It's not the worst. The rest, I am not impressed. I am really not impressed. Especially with the cards we're looking at. So far, we're looking into something Vantage. Because I don't think we are not gonna not play any of this.
Patrick says hold. Let me know if you need me to like scroll down or anything, Patrick. Oh, go ahead, Justin.
I think the first 3 cards in a row are like the most interesting. I think a 3 mana 2/2 haste, like that's not great, but it does have repeatable value on the card. Same with the Nyxborn Shieldmate, like that can also end up being like 2 cards in 1 or 1.5 cards in 1. But a 1/2 body, like that's not going to do much. A 2/2 body is not going to do much. Like I'd rather have the evasion in the air with the Chorus of the Tides. It's splashable, and then additionally, if we have anything that targets it, the fight spell, that's just a free scry tacked on. So I agree. I do like the Chorus of the Tides the most.
What's our curve looking like? Because that's also relevant.
It's
still
looking
early.
like fertile ground, fuckers.
It's a 3rd, 4th drop.
That's okay though. Like it's a decent
still
card.
like it's still like
what
a
else are you gonna
5th
take?
pick.
What else are you gonna take?
Yeah, the rest are
That's why
eating garbage.
Fanbearer was so good, because like I don't feel like there's a ton of great 1-drops in Chaos like that I've seen so far, and Fanbearer like really like pulls its weight as like a 3 mana card. Like it's really good.
Yeah. I mean, I said Chorus first, and I think you convinced me to stick even more with them.
Gotcha. And then we also have Patrick nominating the Kragma Butcher. Let's see what he has to say about that. But yeah, in the meantime,
pick, sir.
in the meantime, to talk a little bit about Fanbearer, yeah, like it's kind of deceptive because it's so cheap, right? Like it's a 1 mana 1/2, but it's really only a card that matters in the late game. It matters once you've developed all your other cards. You don't want to be like tapping something on the early turns because that's really going to stifle your development. So even though it looks like, a 1-drop, and technically it is, and you can do stuff with it like multi-block, like 1/2s are great for multi-blocking. That's about all they're good for though, unfortunately. Overall, it is like a late game card. It just happens to be cheap to set up. Okay. Patrick says Butcher over Chorus. Butcher's solid power, trades up well. Red damage effect, should be able to get in, think it's solid value. Yeah, I mean, Kragma Butcher is a solid card for sure. Um, there are some very similar cards, like there's one called Brazen Wolves, which is also 2 and a red for a 2/3, except it says instead of, whenever it becomes untapped, it gets +2/+0. It says whenever it attacks, it gets +2/+0 until end of turn. That card's a little bit better because the one thing about the Butcher that's a little annoying is like you do have to get that first tap in, right, for it to start kind of snowballing and repeatedly have a 4/3. So when you're attacking with it that first time, like it is going to be a little on the vulnerable side. But then there's the question of like, are we red, right? So at the moment we have no red cards. If we had taken the Lightning Javelin, then yeah, maybe like the Butcher starts looking a little bit more appealing. Then kind of the weird thing about that is like, well, if we'd taken a red card, is the Stormcaller of Keranos more appealing? And the answer is like, not really, because then we have the Lightning Javelin, but we don't have the Claustrophobia. So either way, the Stormcaller of Keranos, I actually think this card's really nice, but it's just pretty far away from what we're trying to do. Either way, we're going to have like one blue card or one red card, so it's just not going to be super exciting unless it potentially wheels and we end up in both colors. Now to talk about the Nyxborn Shieldmate. So this card, yeah, it's funny because like this is a set with heroic, right? That ability where creatures like to be targeted by stuff, and that's something you can do with the bestow version of the Shieldmate. So that's probably the reason the card's in the set. But yeah, like just being left with a 1/2 is like not very exciting. 3 mana to give something +1/+2 and like have some value left over. Like overall, the package is like decent. It's just not like thrilling, right? It's not something I'm looking to put in my deck necessarily. There's some other cards in the pack that are interesting. I actually think Grizzly Transformation and the Servant of Timuret are both like pretty solid. But I like that you guys both mentioned the Chorus of the Tides, because that is the card I would pick from this pack. So 4 mana for a 3/2 flying is just a totally solid Magic card. You can do much worse than that, particularly in the old sets where like blue creatures, were really bad. Granted, I guess this set is not particularly new. But the one thing that I would just kind of caution when we're thinking about this is like, we don't really need to worry about our curve yet. Like, even if we pick up another 4 mana card and we play all three, we're not very likely to play all three, right? Like, let's just go back to that. At this point, after we take this Chorus of the Tides, we're going to have 2 blue cards and 2 white cards. And we will have passed the Fertile Ground and the Trained Armadon, and we haven't really seen any green since then, right? Like, the green card in this pack is Culling Mark. That's not a good card. So at this point, we're basically planning on playing blue-white with 2 blue cards and 2 white cards, and we can have blue or white as a main color. But from this point, we are very likely to have at least one of those colors as the main color, if not both. We do miss out on some heroic value if we don't end up playing the outmuscle. But ultimately, like the thing I would say, just going back to the curve stuff, is like just having a few 4 mana cards even early into a draft is fine. It's going to make things a little bit harder or maybe more awkward for you later. You might be looking to pick up those random crop skirmishers a little more highly. But it's not like a major setback or problem. Now, if these cards were all 6 drops, then I would say, okay, yeah, you have a problem. But 4 mana, it's okay. So yeah, let's pick up this Chorus of the Tides. And we have a pretty interesting pack here. Kermit just cried.
So I like the birds. I like the crawler, but we're not gonna be able to play it. It's also a 4/3 for 5 mana. It's not the best rate, and you're probably gonna start getting its thing turn 6 onwards, and at that point the creature's already huge. I think I like the chickens. Maybe the kite sail, but since we're in blue white, most of our creatures are already flyers, so it's like eh. And then Enclave Elite is more like a sideboard card, and it feels like an inferior chickens. So I think I'll go with the chickens.
All right, got one
I think
vote
my
for the
favorite
chickens.
2 cards are the Apex Hawks and the Kite Sail. Giving flying, pretty relevant. But Apex Hawks is really good because late game that can be, you know, format, that can be a 4/4 flyer, top five. Like it scales pretty well, and I like it.
4 mana, 3/3 flyer. Which one?
So it's gonna be 5 mana for the 3/3 flyer, but yeah. But looks like Patrick was upset with you, Justin, for calling the Hawks. But if I heard correctly, it sounds like Ernesto was into the Hawks too.
Yep, the chickens.
Yeah, the chickens. Right, my mistake.
Yep.
No. Okay. Kite sail. I see.
Oh.
Yeah, Kitesail is really good though. I don't know if it's better than Hawks.
My only reason why I don't like Kitesail over Hawks is because we are leaning more into Azorius, and Azorius by default is more flyers. That's it. That's the only reason. But I do like Kitesail.
Yeah, Kite
I
sail's
do
a
also
good,
Evasion
like
to anything.
it's a good card, and I like
it is a
equipment.
pretty decent card.
When I said no
Yeah,
Kite
that
sail, I
conflict is
was
gonna bite you in the ass, Patrick.
Counter argument for Kitesail is we passed Revoke Existence and the Naturalists, so there's already some removal of hanging out that we are not picked. So
Yeah, the Hawks is winning.
the Hawk is more solid.
I wanted to return to
fine.
what you were
It's a fine
saying,
card.
Ernesto. When I said the like no kite sail thing, I was quoting Patrick to be clear, or just like reading what he was saying. But yeah, so kite sail, I like this card a lot. Like I like this card more than most people. And yeah, Wacky says Ernesto is right about blue white not needing kite sail, and yeah, I agree 100%. Like if you're spending 2 mana to cast an equipment and then spending another 2 mana to effectively just give it +1/+0. That's like, well, there's a card called Bonesaw. I'm just going to say that. And Bonesaw is like very, very unexciting. So, yeah. You definitely don't want your Kite Sail to turn into a Bonesaw. The times that Kite Sail is best is when your deck has like either like no flying or next to no flying. So, like red-green comes to mind, for instance. Kite Sail in a red-green deck can be so sick because red and green really struggle to have evasion. And so it can allow you to simultaneously like kill your opponents, but also like not be dead to the flyers that your opponents have. So like it does way more work just depending on like the colors of your deck. The one card that people didn't talk about very much that I do think is quite solid is Caustic Crawler. Caustic Crawler, like 5 mana for a 4/3 is not exciting, but the exciting part about it is that ability. One of the just kind of tenets of Chaos Draft, it's probably not the right word, is there are a ton of X1s running around, and so being able to like ping X1s more or less, just play my land drop, kill your X1, is very, very strong. But then it's a little bit better than that because it's not just killing X1s, right? It also basically says, now my opponent's blocks are worse. Oh, my opponent has a 3/3, so, they have the trained Armadon, so it's going to trade up for my Caustic Crawler and I'm going to be sad. Well, what if I just play my land first? And now they have a 2/2 and they take 4 damage, So there's actually a lot of flexibility in that, and I think the card's pretty darn good. But the issue is,
I think it's the best card in the pack. It's double black though.
I would agree. I think it's the best card in the pack, and I think we have to take Apex Hawks. And part of that is because the Hawks slots very nicely into our deck. It's going to be our first 3-drop creature. We already have 2 white cards. We don't have any black cards. The other thing very much connected to that, not quite the same thing, but very similar. Bonesaw's ready. Anyway, so very similar is signaling, right? We haven't seen, there were a couple medium black cards in like the Theros block pack previously that we saw, but they weren't even really worth mentioning. So to take this Caustic Crawler and think that we're going to play black, like it has 2 black pips. This is not a card we're splashing. So to take this is basically to say, screw this white card that, would be totally solid and goes into the deck that seems to be open. We're going to randomly speculate on this card that, we have no reason to think is going to make our deck necessarily. So yeah, I'm happy to take an Apex Hawks. It's not very often this early into a draft I want to take anything except what I would consider to be the best card in the pack, but we've found such a situation. So, yeah.
unless we are madmen and want to play Esper.
Yeah, Madman indeed.
What is this fix?
Uh,
What is this spec?
what were you
It's
asking?
just this fix.
Oh,
What is
so
this spec? That's what I'm asking.
well,
uh, is it the Sphinx? The Dual Eyes Avenger? Nothing else convinces me actually.
what do you like about it?
That you can cheat it.
Yeah, but how realistically are we going to double spell in this deck?
There is still like I don't know, like 20 more picks,
Yeah, I'm just seeing
and
if there's anything better than this.
it's just that uh, maybe the drone. The drone is not bad. It's a 2-3 for 3. Can also ramp and helps pay for the better. I don't dislike it. Also,
Reality Hemorrhage isn't terrible.
it's not. It's just that I don't think we're gonna run red.
I don't know. I also don't really like the core Sky Climber.
How
It's
come?
it's like this is a
It's like
tough
a
pack.
it's like a budget siren.
Like we could take the Avenger, the Sphinx, and just like see if it gets played, but like I don't really think there's anything that's like that much better than the Avenger where I'm like, oh wow, like even if it's like even the spider's fine, but like still below rate. Like we're gonna have the air to block the air. We don't necessarily need to play an undercall, like a subpar creature to do that.
It's reasonable.
I
Any
don't think
other?
we're
Problem
gonna
with
camp.
the problem
We'll
we're
take
having with the Sky Climber is that to actually make it a card, you need to sink 2 mana
yeah,
each turn, and
yeah.
that is
It's
something that it's a steep cost. If it was
and
only white, sure,
we're
but
already in the color pair that has the fly, and we don't need that. We have the hawks.
the chicken. I actually could see an argument for drone because that thing can block like small creatures blocks for days. And if we run into more activated abilities that are colorless, it's a ramp. It's not the
Yeah, but
worst.
it's only to cast a colorless spell. Like, how often are we gonna get that?
No, it's
Like,
also activated ability.
it's still like if we're talking about like 3 mana 2/3s, give me the netcaster spider instead. I think it has a more relevant ability.
Yeah, but it's not in our colors.
Yes, it is. It can be.
Sure, sure. I mean, I'll still pick the Sphinx over anything else.
I'll
But I
take
could
the
see an
Sphinx. I'm
argument of
not
why
happy.
they're.
Gotcha.
Sphinx then spider probably.
Okay. Let's see.
Oh, hemorrhage? Yeah, I can see the hemorrhage. But I don't think it's this deck. I think we already kind of set on what our colors are going to be and the style. Throne is. Oh, shut up, Wacky. I said I could see an argument for. I didn't say I was going to pick it.
Oh, I
Pick
can't
one
even
was
see
always going to be
Wacky's.
Sphinx.
I don't know what Wacky's saying, but Wacky also says we're on the Avenger.
Wacky said drone is ass, bad Ernesto -1.
There we go. That's what I thought. We'd rather have the spider than the drone.
I was just being the devil's advocate here. That's it.
No, you can't. You can't do that because then we'll be here till 2 a.m.
Fine, fine, let's go.
I
Okay.
need you to pick 2 cards and stand by them.
All right. So pretty much, yeah. I mean, this pack is not very exciting. There are two, well, sort of three cards I'd be interested in here. One is the Drawer Isle Avenger, one is the Core Sky Climber, and one's the Reality Hemorrhage. So the funny thing about the Hemorrhage is it's like, and this is the case for a lot of cards, but it's just kind of funny to think about and like express like how close something is to being good or exciting. If this were 1 in a red to deal 3, right, just like your classic lightning strike effect, suddenly like that's a card we're pretty surprised to see this light and pretty interested in splashing if possible, or even pivoting for, because it's just it would be that much better than the rest of what's going on in the pack. But for 1 in a red to just be a shock, it's like merely good. like it's a good card. It's a reason to be playing red, but it's not a reason to like give up what we're already doing. So then that kind of leaves us with the Sky Climber and the Dwar Isle Avenger, which also, you know, we don't have to go into like super hard mode in this draft. We're seeing a good black card here, a good red card there, but there is nothing super obvious and nagging and saying like, hey, you're in the wrong colors, you need to pivot, or you're gonna just blunder this draft. So nope. Core Sky Climber. One of the nice things about that card is it does help our curve, right? We actually have no 2-drops at the moment, and it would be a 3-drop for us. So I think it's like pretty reasonable to take for that reason. The Dwar Isle Avenger, one of the things about this card is that we do have a possibility of double spelling with it, specifically with the Fan Bearer. It's tough to kind of foresee how the rest of the draft would go, but most of the time this card is just a 5-mana 3/3 flyer, and I think that's something that Justin had been saying. It's really hard to actually cast this card without spending 5+ mana like during that turn. Like the kind of ceiling of this card most of the time is going to be play a 2-drop and play Dwar Isle Avenger in the same turn. So the Fan Bearer is like kind of an exciting card for us when we're looking at the Avenger, because it does give us that option of like, well, wait a second, like maybe we'll actually get it into play for cheaper. But then it's awkward because we're not playing Fan Bearer on turn 1. What happens if, you know, like we don't hit our land drops or something to play the Dwar Isle Avenger on curve? It's kind of asking a lot. So then this pick is mainly a question of colors and commitment at this point. And it's just saying like, do you want to take the Sky Climber, the card that's going to help our curve, and you know we already have 3 white cards and it's yet another white card, or do you want to take the card that's probably a bit better in the Dwar Isle Avenger? And this is where I would say like, and something that Patrick mentioned too is relevant. I think he said like we don't always have to activate the Sky Climber, right? You know, in a deck like this, sure, like our stuff is going to have flying a lot of the time, and we might want to activate the Sky Climber. Curve is going to matter in a deck like this, so the Sky Climber gets better for that reason. Like, again, we are really lacking some cheap plays. And the other thing is, like, it's still just pack 1, right? We still have an out muscle. As much as we are thinking, like, yeah, okay, like, we have an idea of which colors are open, what happens if we open a bomb in a different color in pack 2? And we're like, well, we took all blue and all white cards in pack 1, so we can't pivot for anything. Like, one of the most important things is trying to give yourself flexibility and leave yourself open. And so once again, now, you know, I think you could argue the Sky Climber is maybe like the 3rd best card in the pack, behind the Hemorrhage and then behind the Dwar Isle Avenger. But I think it's the best card for us now, specifically that we have 3 white cards and multiple 4-drops. Taking a 5-drop once you already have multiple 4-drops is like, that's just really not the direction you want to go with your curve, right? You want to go the other way. So I think it's fine to take Sky Climber here. I think it's good. Correct, even. What is going on in there? Oh my god. Plow this ground fertile.
Don't read. Avert your eyes.
Okay.
No, do not witness.
Okay. I'm glad I'm not...
We're picking the Climber?
Yeah, we're picking the Climber.
We're going insane.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because most of the time the Avenger is the Climber anyway. I mean, it's a 5, you know, like, it's going to be a 5-drop anyway.
And without telling very much about this pack, I'm just going to say that we just got rewarded. That's all.
Yeah, look at all that blue.
If only the blue cards weren't trash.
Stop this. I'm looking at it.
Oh, dude, we have the worst Magic card in the game. Well, one of the worst cards in Break Open.
Break Open is quite
so
terrible.
Garbage.
It's very bad. Yeah.
I think it was in top 10 worst cards of the whole game.
I mean,
like that.
There've got to be cards that actively kill you that are worse, but a card that does nothing or helps your opponent is still really, really bad. Yeah.
I actually like Primal Boost.
What do
and Vitality Charm. The rest are just trash.
you... Okay. Any
How
thought?
much better
Actually,
is Misform Wall than Cinder Wall?
okay. What type of creature is the fan better?
Great question.
Hot take.
It's just a zombie.
Ah,
It's obviously a
ah,
zombie.
ah. If it was a cleric, I will see an argument for the Daunting Defender because any damage is one less. That's pretty hot.
Yeah, that's
But yeah,
reasonable.
I think everyone's saying the same thing. I think it's boost. The rest are
Yeah,
just garbage.
yeah, unfortunately.
Also,
Gotcha.
it
And
helps
it's
with vibes.
heroic, and also Primal Boost is good with heroic, so
Yeah, that's relevant too. But
it's a
yeah,
card.
this
It's a card.
when I said the thing previously about like us being rewarded, what I mean is like imagine we're in this spot and we have 3 white cards and 3 blue cards, and the best card in the pack is Primal Boost, and then we're like, I mean, sure, like, are we even gonna be able to play that? Like the way we're gonna be positioned after taking Primal Boost is 4 white cards, 2 blue cards, 2 green cards, and that means like we're gonna be able to choose, based on what's more open or what's more splashable or whatever. Like presumably white is our main color, and then we're gonna figure out what our other main color is, without being in like a really awkward position where we're just more closed off. But Primal Boost is a super solid card. I'm not going to spend super long talking about it. But basically, like, the thing you need to know is both modes are slightly overcosted. Like, Titanic Growth is 2 mana, like 1 and a green for +4/+4, and Aggressive Urge is 1 and a green for +1/+1 draw card. But the flexibility is, like, easily worth it on Primal Boost. The thing about combat tricks is, like, a lot of the time, like in modern day Magic, you really, really want them to cost 1 mana because then that enables you to double spell the best you possibly can. But if you're not double spelling, it doesn't totally matter as much as it seems how much the card costs. So 2 mana versus 3 mana is actually not as big of a gap as it seems like it is. And Primal Boost is, yeah, it's very good. So happy to take it here. Oh, combat trick time. Just kidding.
Oh, what do we wheel? Oh, yeah.
Post
There we
Malone
go.
came back.
Yeah, and
Post
he's probably the
Malone.
best card in
Posty's
the pack.
back.
Okay, chat, please check the carver and tell me it's not Post Malone without tattoos.
We know it is.
Convince
and
me.
we're probably taking it. We got to take
Once you see it, you cannot unsee it.
Look at that. Look at that. We're blue. We're Simic heroic.
All
No, I
right.
mean, I think Carver's just the best card by far.
Any
And don't you
outflank?
dare mention Outflank. We're not playing Outflank.
I already did it once. We didn't pick the other one, so it's fine. It's the carver. It's Post Malone.
Okay. All right. Nobody's in for the outflank anymore. Yeah. No. I'm. This is great. Like this is a pivot point, right? This is a reason to be in green rather than blue. These combat tricks are very, very good. Like if you think about green, green has less evasion than blue and white, right? So you have to kill the opponent somehow. A big part of how you kill people with green is just creatures that are big, but sometimes you have to play cheap creatures too. Cheap creatures are almost always going to be smaller, and so that's where combat tricks come in as something that allows you to like break through your opponent's defenses, make your creatures bigger if they're not big enough naturally. Now we have this pack.
Oh snap!
Fertile Ground's gone.
Patrick was just talking about this. It's a circle. It's back. Do we actually wait? Do we actually pick the circle?
You tell me.
I mean, the rest of the cards are garbage. Are the hot garbage. I'm not gonna pick a 1/1 for one. Sure, we can get like some dual casting, whatever. But actually, I kind of dig the circle now.
What if the 1/1 for 1 had
I
haste? Can I sell you on that?
If it was my colors, sure.
No, I should not be able to sell you on that.
Yeah, well, we could take the circle as a sideboard card or like Death Grazer, but
I can already see
the
Patrick.
chances of us playing Death Grazer are so low. Like we're pretty like white's pretty decent for us. I don't know. Circle's fine. We'll take it.
Okay, Patrick is stoked about this circle. Funny thing about Death
Yep.
Gazer, card is actually like playable, but this is an interesting thing where like we're thinking about opening just like 24 different packs, right? Presumably, and how many random understated Death Touchers are there going to be? Probably a lot more than there will be Circles of Protection. So that's where like Circle of Protection could be a useful sideboard card for us. It could be a useful sideboard card against us potentially. So we get some counterplay against what our opponents are doing. We also get a hate draft at the same time. It's a lot more exciting than Death Gazer.
Wait. Wacky is raising an actual good argument. That forest looks nice, and he's not wrong.
Yeah, it's never too late to take the basic, right?
Bro. Uh, do we think I kind of like the bear?
Yeah, it's a 2-mana 2/2 that gains 2 life. Oh, but Lightning Javelin's open. Nobody wants that? We should take that.
Uh, I are we playing red though?
I mean, is it too late to take that?
Uh,
I mean, yeah, I mean, for our curve, the bear is fine. It's probably what we should take. But like Lightning Javelin not being picked up at this point, like that's like pretty telling.
that we're playing as bots.
Yeah, that's the issue, right? So if this was a real draft though, like I think Lightning Javelin is like red's open. There has to be. Like who's not taking that? But because this is a bot draft, yeah, I think like Cleric is probably what we should do.
Yeah, so you nailed it with that. I had a lot of spots like this in real life drafts where I would like wheel a card that's like something I was considering taking the first time, and it just like a total head scratcher, like now what? And then usually I would end up like the times when that happened, I just ended up like in 3 colors for most of the draft, and then I got to deck building, and it's like I guess I'm playing these 2 colors, and then it just kind of worked out, and things got there. But for the most part, like yeah, this kind of thing can happen in real life, but because this is a bot draft and because like this shouldn't happen, like the Mighty Leap is actually a really nice trick. But the thing is, we already have Primal Boost and Garen Break Carver, so we're not in the market for that. So yeah, this is where if this were the real thing, it would be very, very strange to get this Lightning Javelin. We might just have to take it, but again, because it's a bot draft, like we can just take the 2-drop, just move along, not overthink it.
The only thing I'm hearing from this is that you drafted IRL bots.
I mean, don't tell my opponents
This is
that.
the only thing I'm hearing.
Okay, Justin, you said you're taking the lizard.
Yeah.
Okay, any other thoughts on this one? I gotta keep up with what.
I'm picking the forest because it's nice. No, actually the wrappings, I don't know.
Patrick wants
Oh, fine.
the lizard.
Sure, grab the lizard.
So this is weird because, the last pick we kind of just decided that like whatever's going on with the Lightning Javelin is like strictly due to bots, and now they're passing us another like above average red card. Like Thresher Lizard as just a 3-mana 3/2 is fine, but the ability to grow into a 4/4 is like very real. And Illusory Wrappings, even though we do have 2 blue cards, is still like a pretty subpar magic card. If we were locked into blue-white, like let's say for instance we'd taken the 5-mana 3/3 flyer, right? Then we might have to take the Wrappings. But no, we can afford to take the Thresher Lizard here. Let's imagine something totally ridiculous happens and we wheel the Reality Hemorrhage, which I don't even know if there are going to be enough cards possible for that. But if so, like, then we already have our second red card, so.
Just believe in the power of the bots. Oh snap! The shield may come back.
Yep. Easy clap.
Easy clap, shield mate.
Take that shield man and move on.
Yeah, let's just move on.
The Servant of Timurat is actually a better card, but specifically because we have stuff like these flyers that like to have a couple extra points of toughness, it's fine. We can just take a white card. And then there's one card in this
Strike
pack.
Griffin with that shield mate. Oof.
And you didn't want to get the Griffin. Shame on you.
Hey. All right.
Okay, here we go.
Okay.
Oh my god. No.
Nice pack of Mirage here.
No,
One second.
why is it Mirage? Why is it Mirage?
Another circle?
Why is it Mirage?
Oof. Interesting. Yeah,
Picking
sometimes you open a pack of
Thirst.
Mirage. Any thoughts here? Are the cards legible?
Oh, we gotta read this shit.
Scroll down a little bit.
I'm gonna shortcut it for you. They're all shit.
I can't even argue. They're basically all bad.
It's Mirage. Sorry, it's Thirst for me. That's it. The rest are like, no, no.
Well,
Maybe the Shadow.
I mean,
Maybe.
no, it's only the sorcery, and that's what we were ramping to. It's the Crash Rhinos. It's probably Thirst. I gotta see the last three cards though at the bottom.
Gotcha.
Did Patrick just say Healing Salt?
It's not terrible. Like, I mean, it's not a good card by nature, but like in the context of this pack, like it's Healing Salve or it's Thirst from what I can see. Let's look. Let's look down more. Scroll down a little bit. What is this? Fennered Sprouts. Oh,
It looks like 2 and a white for a 1/4.
oh God. No.
It,
All right. Yeah. So it's Thirst or it's Healing Salve. Thirst is not terrible, but is it better than Healing Salve? That's the real question. So we already have a good amount of tricks. All right. This can be a trick. Could also just be 3 life. Not really worth a card. Fine. Thirst is, it's
it's more
obviously worse.
splashable
It's more splashable. It's obviously worse than claustrophobia. But it is another card that the ceiling is way higher than Healing Salve could ever be. But I would take Thirst.
So I will see an argument for Shadow, but it's not in our colors, and that's too much of a stretch. Because a splashable true one flyer is not the worst. And Waki's talking about the Walker and the Minotaur. I don't dislike the Minotaur, but 3/3 haste for 4 mana with 2 red pips. It's overcosted. I don't like it. And the Walker, it's sideboard card. Because if you don't play against green, it's just like, okay, you have a 1/1 for 2 mana. Okay. Thanks for playing, I guess. So I think I'll go with Thirst as my first pick. Stick with that choice.
Gotcha.
Thirst.
Unless
No. It's Thirst.
So yeah, I agree with Walker mostly being a sideboard card. The one thing I would say is like if we think about the circle of protection, like sideboard cards can be important. It's just we don't want to take them this early if we don't have to, right? We're primarily looking to actually have cards that make our deck. But the unfortunate thing is like this is Mirage, so that's gonna be tough. None of the cards here are like super sick sideboard cards, which would be potentially like a good reason to start things off with a card like that. I wanted to say about the Tal'Rum Minotaur that like 4 mana for a 3/3 haste is actually like not really underrated. Like this card, especially like for the time, like this card is probably somewhat above rate. I mean, I guess there's Ukundu Cyclops, which is like maybe they're both like kind of on rate, but like for a 3/3 haste, like you're really not going to get that for any cheaper. You're certainly not going to get it for 3 mana in Old Magic, right? And like for your 4 drops in red, like it's okay. Taking Thirst is clunky. Like this card, having to pay blue or you lose it can be really bad. But like there's a similar card I think called Dehydration that's like 3 in a blue for this. This thing costing 2 in a blue does make it quite a bit better. And the other thing too is like one of the things that we would base this pick off of that makes it really awkward, and thankfully we didn't really have to worry about this last time, is just like whether the bots are drafting the way real people would. Like last time we just ended up with like a pretty sick blue-red deck, which is nearly an oxymoron in this format in my opinion. And we didn't have to think like, well, would this really happen or are the bots idiots? Yeah, there's Brazen Scourge. There are a couple others wacky. There's like a functional reprint at uncommon, and then there are some rares I think with that text as well. But anyway, yeah. So I think it's fine to take Thirst, like you guys were saying. And then we have another another super old pack here.
Oh my god.
This
Oh,
pack
wait,
has
wait,
This is so much better though.
yeah. This pack
This
has
is
good
so
cards.
much better. We have miscalculation. We have
Yeah.
miscalc.
There are a few goodies in this pack. Yeah.
Ooh, cessation is hot. Too bad it's not a pacifist. That would be
Yeah.
make it so much better.
Hmm.
Uh, what's the two below? Mostly the Thrandens.
Oh, I love Simeon Grunts.
Yeah,
That's a nice guy.
we have
The
reveal.
Grunts and Miscalculation are like definitely the two cards that stick out. But I think Miscalculation is just a decent card.
Yeah, it's definitely decent. Let's see. Okay, Patrick says the counter with caps, so that's got to be the pick, right?
I kind of agree with Justin on this one. The grunts and the miscalc. I like the miscalc because it's good at any moment of the game. If you throw it early, you can just I'm gonna just leave the counter up and just stop whatever you're doing. And late game, if you draw it, you're not sad because you can just cycle it away. It's not the worst. The grunts, my main issue is that it kind of works the same way as miscalc. That you need to spend 3 mana, but the big issue with the grunts is that you also need to have an echo, and 6 mana for a 3/4, it's rough. It's a big
Also,
cost.
like our only pieces of removal are blue, and if we pick Grunts here, we're moving further away from blue being our second color. White, we're pretty like white's probably our primary right now, so I think like keeping Miscalculation, it's probably going to be better most of the time. It's also relevant later for cycling, and it validates Claustrophobia and Thirst.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that like miscalc is relevant later for cycling, because it's true, and I don't disagree. But when I look at it, the thing that comes to mind for me is like, it lets me play the game, right? If I keep a 2-lander and then I whiff on my third land, then I get to cycle it and try to actually cast multiple spells in the game, you know? So it's like obviously cycling's great for both of those purposes. I just think it's funny that we're kind of mentioning different parts of it. I do think miscalc is what I would take. I do also like Simeon Grunts. It's also worth mentioning, nobody said anything about Vigilant Drake. Like 5-mana 3/3 flyer that can untap. This card's pretty nice. It's not super often that you'll like combo it with tap abilities or whatever, but remember how excited or at least interested we were about that Surge 3/3 flyer? Like this is largely just a better card. So I think it's funny that nobody mentioned it. But it is a good pack. I mean, Simeon Grunts, Miscalc, both really nice. The one thing about Simeon Grunts, I would caution away from thinking of it as like you have to pay 6 mana for it, because like while that's true, and like technically I could say it's even a bit more awkward than that, because imagine you're playing it on turn 3, right? And then you play your 4th land drop after paying Echo. Are you really going to spend that 1 mana? So then it's kind of like you just paid 7 mana for it, right? But the thing that I would say about how to think of it is like for it to be worth that, you really need to be eating something, right? Like they need to be attacking with something on the ground, 3/3 or smaller basically, and you need to be able to block it and kill it. And so there are a couple things about that. One of them is like they're not always going to do that. Maybe they stumble early. Maybe they're holding up a counter spell. Maybe their threats have evasion. Maybe they're on the draw or whatever, you know? Another thing is, let's say you get them once with Simeon Grunts. Let's say you get them in game 1. So then what happens in game 2? You know, if you're assuming your opponent is competent, they're not as likely to just run into that again. So then at that rate, you just kind of have this guy like sitting in your hand. And like, sure, maybe it's good you dissuaded them from attacking you. Maybe sometimes you get a little extra equity out of that because you don't actually have the Simeon Grunts, but you have some mana up. But the card is more or less high variance, right? Like there are a lot of possible outcomes with a card like Simeon Grunts. Whereas a card like Miscalc, there are a lot of possible outcomes, but you basically have control over all of them, and it's 2 mana, and we don't really have a ton of cards we actually want on 2 mana for the blue white plan so far. So I am happy with Miscalc. All
Oh,
right.
oh.
This is a pack.
Are we actually far seeking?
You tell me.
We basically have only one instant sorcery, so Archimancer is no go.
So, any other nominations for cards? Anything other than Farseek? Patrick says Swamp.
I'm thinking Farseek, Negate,
Force Mage isn't terrible. I
Force
kind of
Mage.
like, yeah, Negate's not bad either, but like, I picked like Spell Pierce a couple times in the in-person Chaos draft, and I can't state how bad that card was. I had double of them, and I never played them. They're so bad, and that's because Chaos just felt like so primary creature heavy. So I'm so off Negate that I think Farseek is just the card for us.
So I have a lot more information about Negate than I used to. Like if you asked me like a year ago, I might have told you something very different about Negate. I actually like Negate a lot. I don't think I would take it here, but Negate is so different from Spell Pierce, just in that like Negate is like a no nonsense card. Like you make it to the late game, and there are going to be spots where the only thing you lose to is a pump spell, or the only thing you lose to is a removal spell, or maybe a discard spell, or a wrath, whatever it is. And Negate just says like, I guess I don't have to worry about that. Like Negate is just a card that gives you peace of mind, and that's really nice. That said, Negate is also a card that's in like a ton of sets, and it's a tempo negative card. It's not something that I would generally want to pick early, and there are so many cards, like there's so many printings of Negate and so many similar cards like Cancel and things like that, that I'm not like looking at Negate and like salivating like, oh my god, what a good card for us. No, I think Farseek is the most exciting card in the pack. A little bit funny, perhaps, given that we started off by passing a similar card. But at the same time, like, well, we probably want to be blue-white, right? We have 5 white cards and 4 blue cards. And it's a little bit awkward because we don't really have anything we're looking to splash with the Farseek. But if nothing else, like, it's just a card that can fix our mana, it can accelerate us, and it's more interesting than the other cards in the pack. Like, something like Archaeomancer does have the potential to be very powerful. Wacky says I miss Fertile Ground. Yeah, Archaeomancer definitely has the potential to be strong. But at the same time, it's like, well, how far out of our way are we going to go to do that? So, I don't know. When I take Farseek here, it's not like I am excited about this or anything. You know what would make me excited about Farseek? And ironically, it would help if we had the Fertile Ground, if we took the Lightning Javelin. So basically, if something that like shouldn't have happened, and then we took like these 2 pieces of fixing and like kind of audibled our way into green, then like, yeah, it would kind of make sense. We could end up splashing red. But like most of the time that's not supposed to happen. So ooh, a good pack. They gave us some good cards this time, guys.
Oh snap! Now we're cooking.
We are cooking with this one.
Uh,
Had to bring
oh
up the
wow.
Fertile Ground, says Patrick.
So the first thing that comes to my head is the relic. That's immediately the first pick I'll get. If relic wasn't there, I will think about the hydromancer because we have a lot of flyers, and making clones of flyers is really good. Aside from that, actually the worm is not bad, or the sentry. I will see that. Wow, it's actually a good pack. Crazy.
Yeah, almost all the cards are good.
We'll just take this back. I I think it's the relic. The rest can just go away. Because the difference in power and it fixes us so well. That's everything we want.
Like I like the first two cards, but if we look at like what we've chosen so far, our green is tricks, our blue is removal, and our white is the base. So if we chose the green card, we're kind of just like what creatures are we actually doing in blue green? So I think like just because of that, like Relic has a lot more use. And hey, if we wanted to play two colors and splash the third, because that could be a possibility, Relic just helps with that. So
Let's see. So, let's see if I missed anything. Okay, Patrick is saying relic. So, um, the thing I would say about the relic, and like this is probably a big difference from just generally like thinking about cube to thinking about something like chaos draft. Like one thing I've seen from people who are really used to drafting cube is like taking stuff like signets like super highly. Um, but the thing about relic, for starters, it's basically a manalith. So manalith is just 3 mana for an artifact that says tap to add a mana of any color to your mana pool. Um, like you're just not going to have legends almost ever. But the other thing is like it's interesting, but it's like really tempo negative. Because you're spending 3 mana. Like if you were spending 2 mana to get something that ramps you, then suddenly next turn you're able to spend 4 mana, and that's one of the nice things about Farseek, right? Like Farseek is not like particularly good in our deck, but we do have like a 4-drop in blue, a 4-drop in white, and like some cards that are kind of mana hungry, like Fanbearer, and so it's like, well, you know, even if we're not doing anything fancy with the splash or whatever, it ramps us at like a respectable rate and like on a turn where it makes sense to do that. Turn 3, you really want to be like, doing something more impactful than just like adding a mana. Similarly, you don't want to be putting like Stone Rain in your deck, right? Like destroy target land. That's just not, it's not quite enough like power or value. There's not enough of like a tempo swing there. I like what Aramath has said in the pack, or whoops, in the chat. It's a little bit exaggerated in my opinion, but this is one chance to get a playable creature. Oh, I guess I read that in my head as this is our one chance to get a playable creature. But the creatures in this pack are definitely the cards I'm most excited about. And I like Wacky's nomination of the Magnagoth Sentry. We can take a look at the curve and see if that's necessarily what makes the most sense for us. But like thinking about like, even though we have flyers in white and we have, well, I guess just the one flyer in blue at the moment, the inherent weakness of green, apart from not having basically any interaction, thankfully we have more interaction than normal with just 2 pump spells and an out muscle, is flyers, right? Like that's why green has reach, which is just a strictly worse ability than flying. It's like, here's your ability so you don't lose to flyers as often. It's not going to help you actually beat flyers. It's just going to help you lose a little bit less, which is, in my opinion, pretty frustrating. But anyway, whatever. But Magnagoth Sentry, like 4 mana for a 4/4, that is like as solid as you can get for a rate for a creature in a chaos draft, without it being like some kind of crazy bomb or just super overstated whatever. Like as exciting as a trained Armadon is, 3 mana 3/3, 4 mana 4/4 is that much better. It's like, oh man, you don't get these often. Like this is a special card, and it's a great reason to have Farseek in our deck, right? Turn 2 Farseek, turn 3 Magnagoth, boom, suddenly you're taking 4 a turn. How do you beat that? Again, a little exaggerated, still a really good card. I'm happy to take the Magnagoth.
I have an argument for Relic. It feeds the Thirst, the Bearer, and the Sky Climber.
Right, but like, isn't that basically true of Farseek too? And like, that's also just true of hitting a land drop, right? Like one of the things that I think people underestimate is hitting land drops is like, or at least it can be very good. Like I've played more 18 land decks in like the recent flashback drafts I've done over the past like 5 or 6 months than almost ever. Like just playing an extra land, that kind of thing is so nice. Like Relic of Legends is sort of a 3 mana land drop. What if you got your land drop for 0 mana,
I mean, come on, Max, of course. Sure. Okay, let's go with Sentry then.
Ooh, more good cards. I didn't think they were going to give us this many good cards in a row.
Another claustrophobia. Let's go.
This whole pack is
Oh my God,
insane.
Supreme Verdict though.
This pack is wild.
A mass? Wall of Roots? Oh wow. Oh wow.
This pack is
Even the
juiced.
raft is kinda gas.
Yeah, I'm wondering the same thing, Aramath. He's saying slam dunk in chat, but
Okay, Wacky, you gotta be more specific. What are you talking about?
also, what is? Oh, Claus is claustrophobia. I see. He shoots, he scores. He's not gonna say what it is. Okay,
-1 Wacky.
-1 wacky. This might be a -2 at this rate. Okay, what do you guys like
Wow.
here?
Wall of Roots, a mass, and Verdict. I don't think I want another double blue peep in claustrophobia. If we were heavier in blue, yes, but we are not. So those will be my 3 picks. In order, I will probably say Wall of Roots because we have too many 2-drops, followed by a mass and then Supreme Verdict because we have some removal already. We don't need a sweeper that desperately. So I will say, oh, yes.
I don't think we're at the point where we could be passing on premium removal. Like, Wall of Roots is fine, but like claustrophobia versus Supreme Verdict, like there's no chance Wall of Roots is even like in contention with those. Like our removal's good, but it's not that good. We should either pick up another claustrophobia and commit harder to blue, or we lock in blue white and we say we're doing Verdict.
Do we have to play blue white if we're playing Verdict?
No, we're committed to white if we are. But we're splashing blue at least.
Mm-hmm.
We're already committed to white, so
Yeah.
that's not really an argument. Our Farseek already helps us ramp into Verdict. That's not the worst.
Get some added value of like a lot of the ways to ramp. Like for instance, even something like Wall of Roots, sure, it doesn't color fix you, but like it's nice to actually have the land that you fetched with the Farseek after you cast the Supreme Verdict. Like you don't lose that. Okay.
Fine. I'm betraying my roots by not picking the Verdict. I'm actually doing myself a disservice as a blue-white player.
I think the way the draft is kind of going with our deck, we're probably going to win combat a good amount of times, and then we're probably going to have the air advantage as well. So something like Supreme Verdict, while it's a good card, I feel like we're going to most likely be winning on board. Maybe that's just like naive to say. So I would lean towards claustrophobia to lock down the threats that we can't beat.
So I do really like the appreciation for claustrophobia. It's certainly a good card. The thing that I will say is I think that claustrophobia feels a little on the narrow side, even though like it might look like it's actually easier to cast than Supreme Verdict. It's like, well, there are only 2 colored symbols in there, right? But the problem with claustrophobia number 2 is let's look at our blue cards. Like we only have 4. They are Miscalc, which is good. Chorus of the Tides, which is decent. Claustrophobia, which is our best blue card. And then Thirst, which is medium. So then if we look at white and green, we have more cards in each of those colors. And I would argue we have more exciting cards. Like white's version of claustrophobia in this is Fanbearer. And then we also have Apex Hawks, which is like just good. We also have Razorfoot Griffin, which is again just good. Like our worst blue card is Thirst. Our worst white card is like the Cleric. So I think white is looking quite solid. And then green, like all of our green cards are very solid too. So the thing is like in order for claustrophobia to work for us, we have to be certain that we're going to play blue basically. And that means that like blue, which is the color that we're considering playing that has the fewest cards for us suddenly has to be like, it's really hard for it to be something we're more confident in than the white or the green. Whereas the nice thing about Verdict here is like, yes, there are two white symbols and one blue symbol, but we get to play it in like the white blue deck, which we end up in a pretty reasonable amount of the time from this spot, and it has two white symbols, which, you know, doesn't currently seem like it would be a problem. But yeah, because of Farseek, we can also just play white green splashing Supreme Verdict. And the other thing, like, it's really, really important to think about stuff like this. Supreme Verdict is one of those cards that you can lose to when you are incredibly far ahead, and there will be almost nothing else in the entire format that can beat you. So whenever you take a card like this, that is basically a card that I'm not going to say you don't have to worry about your opponents having anymore, but you can have like a much higher degree of confidence that they won't have an effect like this. So Supreme Verdict, I actually think, is very good for us. And, you know, even though, again, it's a gold card with 3 colored pips, like, can still end up in multiple versions of this deck. Ooh, gave us another good pack here. Any thoughts on what's going on here?
Too soon to tell.
Okay.
I like the island.
Take the island.
I like the island. No, I'm just.
Oh, I was gonna say if you said take the island, I would give you a +1, but
Oh, shut up.
The
I
Jin
like it.
is pretty good. The Jin.
okay. Patrick says Windseer,
Kind of like also the wizard.
the Arcane Investigator.
Kind of like it.
You're not paying 6 mana to roll D20. Sorry.
What?
You draw a card.
I've paid
Draw a
6
card,
mana
dude.
to roll a d20 and draw a card before. Probably twice at least.
Yeah, but I'd rather. I like the Windseer or the Purple Worm more than that. But the Purple Worm, like, that's fine. The 6 mana 8/7.
7
Word two.
mana.
That's pretty decent.
7 mana.
Give me the Jinny. Give me the Jinny.
Oh.
Okay. Chat wants the
Also, 2
Windseer.
mana 3 is not terrible. That's a pretty good stat line.
Yeah, it's like reasonable. It's not bad, but it's not exciting either. Okay. So
Let's do a Steve Breeze, though.
the thing about the Windseer that I don't think I've heard anyone mention is it basically falls into the exact same category as Supreme Verdict, which is a card we just took. It's good in the blue-white deck, and it's good enough that we would
That's
splash
Virginie.
it in the green-white deck, right? So one of the like things about basically committing to splash Supreme Verdict is like we want to know why we're doing that, and if we have another card that's good for a similar reason, like then yeah, like why not pick up this card? Most of the time I feel like does it technically scry? I don't remember whether it scries Stu slightly more than it scries 1, whatever. I guess it probably does on average, but it's just 4 mana 3/3 flyer is just a totally solid rate. Purple Worm, this would be pretty sick. If you could reliably make this a 5 mana 8/7 with Ward 2, then it would be awesome. But Morbid, which is what this thing is, you know, if a creature's died this turn, is sadly like deceptively hard to turn on, very unreliable and high variance. So all right, let's see what you guys make of this pack.
The giant is pretty gas.
Splash me.
The only thing that pops up to me is the chicken and the giant,
The chicken being what?
the griffin.
Right, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, the chicken Max.
I like the Giant.
Okay.
I like the giant because it gives us like a high-end card that we can just say, okay, we slam this, deal with this. It's not very big because 6 mana for a 4/5 is not very good, but it has hexproof, so it's hard to get rid of. And also, we can just fight with this, with
Yeah.
the outmuscle or something.
Yeah, I also like ill-tempered Cyclops, but we're so far away from red. But it's going to be the giant, I believe.
Gotcha.
Also, what Waki's saying about the 3/3 is not a bad argument because we were gonna pick the elephant,
The trained
which was
Armadon.
double green.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we were thinking about it, and now we have basically an improved version of it, which is much more splashable, and it's not the worst, honestly. Actually, the more I think about it, I think Waki's right on this one. On picking the 3/3
So
because
yeah.
it's the best rate of stats for the mana we're sinking into it.
So I do love a 3/3 for 3. In fact, I love a 3/3 for 3 more than most people. Looks like Wacky is discovering the giant. Though Patrick has been mentioning the presence in chat, and it seems like to no avail potentially until I hopefully there it seems like there's some avail now that I've mentioned it. But basically, like Centaur Courser or the Nessian Courser, whatever, same card, 2 and a green for a 3/3 vanilla, is a super solid card. It's the exact kind of card I want in a deck with Garen Brig Carver. It's the exact kind of card I want in a deck with Primal Boost and Outmuscle, that kind of thing, etc. But this isn't just a deck with those cards. This is a deck where we have Supreme Verdict and Ginny Windseer, and we also have Farseek. And yeah, we already passed one piece of fixing. So I'm more than happy to take Nylea's presence and just say, okay, now our deck is going to be more consistent. We're not going to stumble as much in the early turns in the game because we can now keep like, 2 forests and Nylea's presence a lot more easily than we otherwise would be able to. And suddenly like our blue splash is all set up and we don't even have to like just use it to splash blue. Like for instance, Supreme Verdict, double white might be hard. So if we hit the blue mana before we hit double white, like that works out too. The fact that we already have multiple cards that are good enough to splash and we have the first piece of fixing but not the second is really a strong incentive to take another piece of fixing. And granted, like again, we would want Fertile Ground at this point. Like we would also take Fertile Ground in this pack. But the difference is like now we know why we would be taking the Fertile Ground. If we didn't have any of the blue cards, right? If we didn't have anything that was worth splashing, we would take the Nessian Courser. And at that rate, we would also be taking the Trained Armadon, right? Over the Fertile Ground. But at this point, now we have more information. We know that we're not just straight up 2-color beatdown deck. This is a draft with bots. Not super surprising. The bots are passing us cards that are really powerful, which means we don't just want to play the, straightforward beatdown deck. So now, at least
I don't
as far
know if Presence is better than Fertile Ground.
Oh, I'm not
Ground
saying
ramps you. Presence doesn't.
I'm not saying
No,
it's.
to Patrick.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Presence draws your card. That's already so good.
I don't know what's better, ramping or drawing a card.
This deck, Presence.
I think I'm inclined to
Specifically this
agree,
deck.
mainly because of something like Supreme Verdict, right? Supreme Verdict is a slow card. It's grindy. Like, we have cards like Magnagoth Sentry, which do want you to ramp, but for the most part, like, this deck doesn't seem like it's like, okay, we're going to ramp as often as we can on turn 2 and then try to cast our 4 and 5 drops as quickly as possible. Like, maybe if we had the Fertile Ground, we could have tried to build a deck a little bit more like that. But this deck is just like, I think this deck is happy to draw a card instead of ramping. Yeah.
Also because you want to dig for your removal.
Mm-hmm.
And Presence digs for it and also allows you to cast it easily.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Take this. Now we have this pack.
Oh boy. You screeching? Are we screeching?
We might be. Aramath says in chat, Fertile Ground is like you drew a Mox. Whoa. That's insane.
Damn. Can we get a -1 in chat, please?
I don't think any of these picks matter.
There's a card from this pack that I'd be reasonably happy to take.
The Quilt Sliver?
Yep, that's the one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, There are a couple things about
The
this
chance it
one.
makes our I said the chance that it makes our deck is probably pretty low, but it's fine.
Yeah, it's not a bad card.
I
Like
mean, it fills an important slot on the mana curve.
yeah, most of the time it's not really a creature. It's just kind of like this effect that's gonna make combat a little nebulous and difficult for the opponent. Like suddenly, they can't really attack or block with X1s. Like they can have like two or three. Aramath is objecting to that -1 for the Mox comment, by the way. Um,
Yeah.
anyway, so yeah, Quilled Sliver. Yeah, it pretty much just says like a lot of your opponents cards that would otherwise be able to enter combat can't. But additionally, it says now suddenly your stuff is able to trade much better. Like, let's say you have two 2/2s and they have a 3/3, and you also have Quilled Sliver, and you attack with your 2/2, and they're like, well, either I block and then the Quilled Sliver is going to finish it off, and then I just traded my 3/3 for a 2/2, or I attack and then they're going to block with their 2/2 and activate Quilled Sliver, and then I'm going to lose my 3/3 anyway. Like, it just makes, yeah, it is easily the best card here. It makes stuff really awkward for the opponent, even without other slivers, right? Most of the time there won't be other slivers. But the one other trick that's important to keep in mind with a card like this is you can always block with it, and then tap it to activate it and trade for an X2. Trade for the opponent's 3/2 or, whatever it is. So okay. And back to our first lovely pack here. Wow.
I guess we're taking rhinos.
I mean, the Loke, maybe?
These
Doesn't
cards,
really
it's
matter, I
tough when
don't
all the cards are bad, right?
Sure. It's just that, I don't know. Facing keeps enchantments, right?
Let's see. I'm pretty sure when you put phasing on something and it phases out, I think the stuff that's attached to it phases out at the same time and then back in at the same time. Maybe it depends on the controller, so I could be slightly off on that, but wonder if Aramath knows. Anyway. Global non-aura. Yes, Max, it's still there. What am I supposed to take? The phase? Oh, the cloak. Yeah, so this pack is really bad. There's just nothing exciting for us. One thing that's important to note, I'm pretty sure that global enchantments, black is wide open. Global enchantments are not, like, it doesn't just mean like destroy all enchantments. Let's look up what it means just to be sure. If you open a card like this, it's always, and sometimes with old cards too, they'll have like different creature types because errata happens, and it's just nice to know like what the thing actually means. So yeah, destroy all non-aura enchantments. It's like pretty annoying when some of the effects we've passed are like claustrophobias and whatever, and so yeah, those are like the best cards that we might hit. On the other hand, oh, what were you saying, Justin?
Claustrophobia is an enchant creature. It's not an aura.
It is an aura. So the subtype here is aura.
Yeah, so I'm saying that then Tranquil Domain is useless.
Right, yeah. I'm saying like if we're thinking about taking the Tranquil Domain to hit the claustrophobia that the other person drafted, like it doesn't even work, which is annoying. But the thing is, like, ultimately from this pack, there's just like nothing for us. We never want to play Crash of Rhinos. 3-mana 1/4 is like, it's not unplayable, but it doesn't offer us any equity. So I'm actually happy to take what I consider to be like a very narrow sideboard card. Say, for instance, that somebody else had a Circle of Protection. At least that does something. Oh, Ernesto's talking to you. I see. Yeah, but I mean, it's just a horrible pack. It's not worth spending that much time thinking about. I don't think, at least. Brotman, thank you so much for the sub. Doesn't destroy our claustrophobia. That's true, but we're probably not playing one anyway at this rate. Okay. Well, We've got a few options here, actually, still. All right, any thoughts on this one from you all? Wacky's going to know what to take here.
We could take those Beebles as a sideboard card.
I kind of like cessation.
Okay, a couple votes for cessation. All right, Wacky, what's the verdict? The Europeans are all crawling out of their beds now? Yeah, exactly, Crackshot. Airmath beat Wacky to it, which was surprising. One card that's good and that's still in the pack, and this is the kind of thing you'd like to be aware of, or at least make like a mental note. Phyrexian Broodlings, card's actually pretty solid. It's best if you have like some kind of way to combo with it or whatever, but just like something that can threaten to kill your opponent. Yeah, okay, Wacky apparently is absent, but Aramath is doing the job, doing Wacky's job, talking about the Chonker. Yeah, the Yavi Maya Worm. It's funny because like we weren't interested at all in Crash of Rhinos, but Yavi Maya Worm, yeah. Yeah, exactly, Brahman. Yavi Maya Worm is just like so much cheaper. Like even a 7 mana Crash of Rhinos or whatever is like, it's really hard to describe because it's almost like it's multiple mana cheaper just by going down one total mana value, because it gets that much harder to hit lands and actually cast expensive spells. It spends that much more time rotting in your hand. But a 6 mana version of Crash of Rhinos, yeah, this thing's actually pretty solidly statted. Okay, there's only...
If we picked the Relic, I would have been much more easily sold on the world.
Yeah, 8 is like kind of as much as you can possibly hope to spend. Now we need that fertile. Yeah, everyone wants the fertile ground. We got some Yavi Maya Worm flavor in the chat. That's exciting. Okay, can we just take the one on color card and move on?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, nice.
Maybe fertile ground is friends we made along the way.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, here's an interesting one, actually. Curious what you guys think about this. Okay, Patrick says Drake.
I think I like the growth.
Okay, got to vote for the growth. Justin, you're the tiebreaker.
Probably take the Drake.
Okay, and we got another vote for Drake in the chat as well. Yeah, so the thing about the growth, I like the card, but remember, like, this deck already has Garenbrig Carver and Primal Boost, which are both basically better combat tricks. You don't really need the third one. There's almost never at least a deck where you're like, oh yes, I got my like 6 combat tricks and now my deck's gonna work. On the other hand, yeah, exactly, like Airmath is talking about the same thing, like, we do need critical mass of creatures. And while Soaring Drake is not an exciting flyer in the sense that, like, you know, unlike the Ginny Windseer, we're not necessarily looking to splash it, we still do have outs to just play blue-white. And then we might see the total, you know, the full amount of awkwardness of taking green fixing, where we're like, oh, maybe we can splash out Muscle and the Magnagoth Sentry, but then our green fixing is green. And we don't want to splash for our fixing. But we're not necessarily there yet. It's just something to think about again with this kind of stuff. That's why colorless fixing is like so sick. The Pilgrim's Eyes of the World and Evolving Wilds and that kind of thing. But yeah, we can just go ahead and take a Soaring Drake here.
You're forgetting the dream world of getting the growth and kick it with an idea's presence.
Yeah, I mean, that is a thing you can do for sure. Okay. What do we think about 7 mana? That's the question. We know how we feel about 8 mana and 6 mana. How do we feel about 7?
7/7. That thing's big.
It's huge.
Probably just taking the Thought Scour.
And the Relic. That's right, Aramath. You got me. Damn it. Okay, Justin says taking Thought Scour. Patrick agrees. Any vote from you, Ernesto?
It doesn't make any difference.
Because if you vote for the worm, you're outvoted. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it doesn't make a difference. But I'm gonna just be a contrarian and just pick the worm because Snake is big and we need a high end.
Yeah. So the
just
thing about
say, okay, the game is over.
No, I think that's the right pick. The thing about Thought Scour is it's basically a
Oh,
card that doesn't do anything. Like it's 1 mana, draw a card. You're gonna mill someone for 2. Sometimes it's yourself. You're gonna need a really good reason to mill your opponent for 2. I would play Thought Scour, but I would specifically want to play Thought Scour if we had taken the Archaeologist or whatever, the 4 mana 1/2 that when it enters the battlefield, return an instant or sorcery from your graveyard to your hand. Because 1, it hits Thought Scour, right? It returns that to your hand. But 2, if you mill over a better spell, then you get to return that too. So that would be a great reason to take Thought Scour. Otherwise, I don't really care about it. The Duskdale Worm, it is pretty much the most expensive card I would want to play, given that it's 7 mana. 7 drop, for instance, that would be a great reason to have the Fertile Ground over the Nylea's Presence. Trying to cast a 7 drop, yeah, you would rather ramp than draw a card. Though most of the time that's not necessarily the case, I think. Okay, I'm going to take the worm.
anti-fixing of Fountain. Yay.
Okay, we got our white 2-drop back. The other card is Island, so we're going to take the Island. No, just kidding. Did I trick anyone?
All right, here we go.
All right, pack 3. Ooh, and we get
Oh,
a
snap.
nice Dominaria remastered pack. This is a good pack. Yeah, it's true, Wacky. The double blue would have been awkward, but otherwise, yeah.
That news is extremely interesting.
It's definitely interesting. All right. Muse is a bomb, says Patrick. Justin's reading, presumably.
What the fixing?
Oh wow, that is a
What the
triple fixing.
fixing? Fixing. Look at that land, man.
I know, that is pretty nice. But are we playing all 3 colors? Like
Yes.
Muse is annoying to fight.
Crackshot wants the Broccoli Man. Broccoli Man is very good.
Which one is broccoli, man?
The Deadwood Tree Folk.
Okay, yeah, sure. The broccoli man's.
Brahman says it's so.
I think it's between Broccoli and Windborn Muse.
Yeah, that
But
sounds right
also
to me.
shout out to Aromancer. If we had double claustrophobia, that's right, fuckers. We could have had it.
Also, Patrick raising the argument for frantic search. Yeah. Yeah.
Why?
If we had the
Why?
Sphinx,
No.
the Search Sphinx, frantic search will be gas.
No, wouldn't. That's 1 synergy and it's card disadvantage, and we're not doing anything with our graveyard. We don't even want Thought Scour.
I know. We're just miming. I'm just miming.
It's either the Tree Folk or the Muse, and I don't know how good an effect like this is in Chaos. Like I do feel like it's really annoying to fight, but the Tree Folk has so much value on it too. Like that's a really good card.
And I'm gonna regret this, but what does the Jalum Tome do?
It's 3 mana for an artifact that has.
Good job, card.
Yeah, you can loot for 2
As
mana.
I said, I'm gonna regret this.
Well, that's fine.
I'm gonna
Now you get
regret
to see
this.
the Kavu Primarch. Extra value.
Ooh.
Patrick says additional
that's a
mana
big
and a
chonker.
big worm. It is a chonker for sure.
I still think it's the Muse.
Okay.
It's such a unique effect. Also a good flyer, followed by Broccoli Man.
Okay. Justin, any last votes or thoughts from you?
I'm between the 2 as well, but I do feel like the Windborn Muse is really that's just an obnoxious card to fight. I like that.
It is. So it's kind of funny because the first thing that occurred to me when I was thinking about the Windborn Muse is like, if you have this thing in play, they're not really going to necessarily be able to attack with a bunch of things, right? Like most likely they won't be able to. And that kind of incentivizes opponents to like keep their cards in hand, which if you think about it, we have a Wrath in our deck. That actually sounds really bad. I don't want to incentivize my opponent to keep like their cards in hand. But then I kept thinking about it and was like, well, hold on a second. Broccoli Man is very good, right? But think about what just happened toward the end of last pack. We got a Yavi Maya Worm, and we got a Duskdale Worm. We just picked up a 6-drop and a 7-drop. And so, like, if we're going to take the Broccoli Man, like, we already have so many expensive cards, it doesn't seem that good. But you know what helps us cast expensive cards? You guys might think, well, ramp, something like that, which, you know, is accurate. How about something that makes the game take longer? Windborn Muse slows your opponent down. It says, now it's harder to kill you. It's going to take longer. And that's another great way of casting our 6 and 7 drops. So Windborn Muse is actually something that is really nice for us because it pretty much makes our expensive cards, like the Broccoli Man, more castable. We might wheel the Trevo's Ruins as well. But yeah, like I think what Brotman said, like it's such bad fixing, don't get baited. Yeah, we just picked up a 6-drop and a 7-drop. Like playing a land that's going to return a land to our hand, it's not something we want to do almost ever. Yeah. Yeah, she is also a 2/3 flyer. Oh, okay, we got some spicy ones here. Interesting.
And that chicken is so bad.
It's being
I
hunted.
would have picked the chicken so bad.
There's a 4/4 coming after it. It's being hunted.
I mean, the chicken ends the game so fast. It's not even funny.
All right, any thoughts here from you all?
Yeah, honestly, it might be the Signet because I don't really see anything that good. I know you're not high on Signets, but if we are playing blue, it would be nice to just have something else in the 2-drop slot because our curve's pretty high.
If it was an on-color signet, I will be all over it. But it's not.
It is.
It's not.
We're playing blue.
If it was banned, one of the banned colors, I would be all over it. But it's
That will be
it's
double on
dimmer.
color. It's still on color.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean? No.
What else are you gonna take? What else looks good to you here?
The chicken.
You want that 4-mana 5/5 flyer?
It's a 5/5 flyer. That thing is big. That thing ends games really fast.
Yeah, I think the hunted cards are usually a trap, but like in chaos, are they better?
It's a good question. What would make it better?
The card quality, I guess, that you're up against. So I guess it would be better.
If the have so many answers.
Variable.
Wacky says think about Crackshot. I'm not sure what that means. What would Crackshot do? Probably.
Right, Crackshot, you brought us the magic of Broccoli Man. What's in your mind?
That's true. We also have this Broccoli Man.
I'm still giggling about the freaking Broccoli Man. I'm still dying about it.
So one thing I'll say about the Dimir Signet as we're kind of mulling this all over is like it's on color potentially, but assuming it seems like we have a lot more green cards than we do blue cards, so we're still probably looking at splashing blue for like the Verdict and the Windseer. So suddenly the Dimir Signet is actually pretty narrow in terms of like the colored mana that it's going to provide us with. Doesn't mean it's necessarily the wrong pick. It's the one blue for Miscalc. Yeah, we can hold up a sneaky Miscalc with our Dimir Signet. That's true, Patrick. So the Lamazu, it's so interesting because like, huh?
Love that game.
Yeah. Okay, so the Lamasu, this card in particular, I think, really wants you to have bounce spells in your deck, because like, if you have a bounce spell, then you can get rid of the 4/4 token, like specifically unsummon things like that, Mana War, whatever, anything that allows you to like bounce something at like a very efficient rate, or something that's like stapled onto another card, if you're able, basically what I'm saying is like to build around the Lamassu, get rid of that drawback, then you're going to mitigate a lot of the variance with it. Because one thing about this card is like, well, you do make a 5/5 flyer, and your opponent does quote unquote just have a 4/4 and it's on the ground. But you basically set yourself up for a lot of different outcomes with this. Sometimes your opponent is going to just have the answer for your flyer, and then they're just going to have a 4/4 that you just gave them, which is a disaster unless you have Supreme Verdict in your deck or bounce spells or whatever. But then the other thing is like Supreme Verdict is not necessarily good with the Lamassu, right? It's just awkward. There's not anything really good about it. Something that would make the Lamassu a lot better is if we could brick a 4/4 on the ground very easily. So, bouncing it is one way to answer it. But what if we just had like, I don't know, three mana 1/5s in our deck or something? Or just like how about some 1/1 Death Touchers, Just something like that where it's like, okay, you have a 4/4, but it actually doesn't matter, and the 5/5 flyer does. That would be something that's really important. Some other options in this pack, the Null Mage Shepherd, it's kind of weird, but it's like actually pretty decent. You do need to potentially board it in sometimes. But otherwise, we're basically just looking at Spectral Searchlight, which is Manalith, right? It's just 3 mana, add a mana. The funny thing about this card is you can add mana to your opponent's mana pool. You used to be able to do that and cause your opponent to take damage from mana burn or lose life or whatever. But that doesn't happen anymore. That doesn't work like that. So now it just functions as a Manalith, basically, unless it's like a team format or something like that. Let's see what... Okay.
But is that better than Demir Signet?
Oh my god, the Lamassu avatar, Justin. So the thing about the Signet is it just doesn't really like do anything exciting for us. Like that's a card where I would just rather have a land drop. It gets a little bit different once we already have a 6-drop and a 7-drop in our deck. Ramping does get better. But the fact that it's off color just makes it very awkward. If it were like Mind Stone, Mind Stone's off color, but it also is flexible, right? Sometimes you're going to flood and you can at least cycle the Mind Stone. But I don't know. I think I need a really good reason to want to ramp. I think most likely Null Mage Shepherd is the correct pick from this spot, though I think it's okay to take the Lamassu. I think we could take the Lamassu, see if we end up with some kind of way to build around it. Whether it's going to be something that bounces it, something like that, because give them mana as a flex. Yeah, that's also an option, Aramath. But like to your point, Justin, is it better in Chaos or is it still a trap? I would assume it's still a trap, but by taking it here, one of the things I like to do a lot of the time, as much as it might seem like it, I don't actually know every card, not even every old card. And it's nice to get data on cards that I have, never played with before. So even if that means like reducing my equity, well, maybe not when, there's like a Dan Frazier's Mox box at stake or whatever, but like the rest of the time, yeah, sure. We can mess around. We can take the Lamassu. And then if it sucks, then we know that for next time, We might
I will say that one of the arguments I have against the mage is that our curve is a bit higher. So I don't know how many times we're going to have 4 features to activate the mage.
Yeah, it's weird.
That's the only argument I have against it.
Yeah, I would say just from experience, I think it happens a little bit more often than you'd expect, but it is like a steep requirement. The nice thing about the card is that you still just have a 4 mana 2/4, which is not, super embarrassing. It's like a serviceable card. Ooh.
That's fair.
There's one card I like in this pack.
The Plague, right? Because Stone Rain, right?
Perfect. Yes, exactly.
Excellent.
Yeah, it's reasonable Aramath. Like it's starting to look better, I think, at that point. And yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking too, Brotman.
We'll take Plague as a sideboard card, I guess.
So obviously the best card in the pack is the Giant Cyclops. That's clear, but it's way out of commodity for us because double red it's not affordable. I will say the font
The font is good.
because
Yeah. What were you gonna say? Because what?
we have basically nil card draw, and the font at least is it's an overcosted divination, but it does the job. You can also always drop it turn two and then forget about it until you need it.
Let's see. We have some votes for
The
cranes.
chickens are fine, but
We have Patrick who's swung over from, or whoops, excuse me, from chickens to font.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
It's a bird, so it's a chicken. I will say the chickens are fine, but we already have so many high drops, so many high costed creatures that we really need a 5 drop. I think I would like more consistency in the deck than another 5 drop.
Sure. Well, one thing we can do at this point is we can start just trying to take a closer look at the curve. So let's just cut everything and start adding stuff back. Windseer probably. And then green cards. Whoops. Magnagoth. Muscle, this, that. Put the 6-drop and the 7-drop in the same thing. Add a thing here. Layout. Do about 2 extra. Move the 4-mana spells over. This is a 2-mana spell. This is a 3-mana spell. 2 and 2. And so, yeah, I mean, our curve is definitely top heavy, right? We have a 6-drop, a 7-drop. We have some 4-mana cards, a lot of 4-mana cards.
Kind of my argument for the font.
Problem,
Because the other cards don't do anything for us.
The Grove Dancer is not terrible.
oh, okay, yeah, no worries,
Doesn't
Patrick.
do enough for me.
That's what I was thinking too. Yeah, I mean, the Grove Dancer is solid, and the Stonewise Fortifier is also solid. Like, those 2-drops are just totally fine. The thing about the chickens, though, is, like, 5-mana 3/5 flyer is actually pretty far above rate. Like, especially for a set like this, like, you would normally be happy with, like, 5-mana 3/4 flyer. Sometimes 5-mana 3/3 flyer is, like, pretty solid. So this basically being a 5-mana 3/5 flyer, or, you know, you do have that flexibility with where you put the counter, I actually think it's quite solid. A deck like this, given that our curve is already high, there's a reasonable chance we want to play 18 lands plus Farseek, so it shouldn't be particularly difficult to get the 5-drop. This could be, like, taking this here would could have been a good reason to pick up one of the Manoliths, because as much as Manolith is not an exciting card, it does help you go, like, 3-mana mana rock into turn 4 5-drop. But I would take the cranes here. The problem with the font is just that we haven't really seen an exciting blue card for a while. It's really looking like we're going to be base green white splashing blue, and font is just not really a card I want to splash for.
Yeah.
I do like it though. I think it's a totally solid card. Oh, this pack has an amazing card for us.
Pacifism.
Yes.
Kelpie.
Let's go.
Yep. Yeah. The Jeer Falcon, or however you say that thing, that guy's like okay-ish, playable, whatever. The 2-mana 1/3, every now and then you're going to want something like that. But yeah, just 3 mana for a pacifism that's going to repeatedly...
White claustrophobia.
Yeah. Yeah. It's super sick. And that's like one of the big problems with this deck too. Like, we started the draft without muscle. We picked up the Supreme Verdict along the way, and we lost the claustrophobia. We didn't get the other claustrophobia. We do have a fan bearer, thankfully. It does make the game longer. That's right, Brotman. It's actually a little bit awkward to have Recumbent Bliss in the same deck as Supreme Verdict, because you're going to blow up the thing that's enchanted, which means you're going to stop gaining life. But this is still just like the perfect card for us. This is exactly what we're looking for. All right. Good pack here. This one's going to be interesting.
I like the modes a lot. Too bad we already have so many 4 drops.
Yeah, Moats is a good card. I think there's one card that I would take here for a very similar reason to why we took the Recumbent Bliss in the previous pack.
That curse is also looking pretty good.
Yeah. And this is like one of the awkward things.
Mm-hmm. That's nowhere.
Yeah. One of the awkward things about this, and it's once again, it's just Broccoli Man all over again, right? We have Gingerbread Hunter and we have Hamlet Glutton, and those are both really solid, expensive cards. I had Hamlet Glutton in one of my decks that won a Mox Box, and I was not able to pay the black adventure. It was just 5 mana for a 5/5 that makes a food, which was just super solid. And the Glutton, also good. It gains you some life, similarly to the Hunter, so these cards kind of help you stabilize if you're able to survive and cast them. But we already have expensive cards. These are a dime a dozen. So what don't we have? How about more cheap removal? It's really hard to get stuff like this. And we have some good fighters in our deck. We don't have a ton. But for instance, Magnagoth, excellent fighter. The Supply Line Cranes, nice fighter. Even something like the Windborn Muse is going to fight as a 3/4. But yeah, the Werefox is quite nice for us.
A monster roll gets 1/1. Yeah, and trample. That's good.
Yeah, it is. Oh, perfect card for us.
Oh, look at that bank card.
Look at that island, dude.
Easy land. Look at this thing.
We have a bomb because the bots are bots, but still, the land.
Yeah, so I wouldn't call the Adjudicators a bomb or anything, but like this is just about exactly what we want when we're trying to splash something like this. Also, there's something very funny about it, which is it acts as our blue source, right? So it can help splash for itself until we cast it. Our opponent might think, oh, that's kind of weird, like they haven't cast it yet or something like that. They must still need the blue mana. And then we might end up using that blue mana on a Supreme Verdict and then cast the Adjudicators after, which is just pretty hilarious. But yeah, the Bant card is very nice. And at this point, we like 100% want like 18 lands in this deck. I don't think you would go up to 19, but like we just have so many mana hungry cards. Yeah, the thing about Make Disappear, and the same with like the other blue cards like the Font from before, is like even though they're interesting, like we're also not looking to play Miscalc, right? Because this is just not really a card you want to splash. It's really unusual that you want to splash for cards that are cheap, because by the time you hit your splash mana, most of the time it's going to be later in the game. And the whole point of splashing a card is, because you think it's powerful and useful, whatever combination of those things. And so if you're splashing for a 2-mana card, it's like, well, better do something pretty insane in the late game or whenever I'm going to hit my splash color, right? But just totally solid to take the Adjudicators here, I think.
How often do these bombs like wheel around in pack 3? Because these are very narrow and they are triple colored, so you really need not knowing what the form
Oh,
is
look at all
about.
that blue.
Huh?
So look at all that blue.
I mean, that overgrowth is pretty sick to me.
So I would say, like, for a card I would legitimately consider a bomb to wheel in pack 3, it would have to be like, I don't know, 3 or more colors. And usually, like, it's really unusual that there's a common that's like on bomb card quality level, at least in my definition. Airmath is, oh no. Apparently the stream's dying for people. But okay, you guys can still. I wonder what I can do about this.
Overgrowth.
Stuttering every now and then. Okay. Yeah. So we're. I mean the.
It's the stuttering. It's the audio.
Every
Because
now
we're
and
also
now.
getting to
Oh
stutter.
no, that's unfortunate. Okay. I think Ernesto, you had said overgrowth is pretty sick. Is that right? Yeah, so there is a lot of blue in this
I
pack,
agree.
and we do have Dehydration, which is actually a card I mentioned by name from before. But remember, like, um, every then and then, a notable broken card, Horseshoe Crab, yes. So remember, Aramath was talking about, like, yeah, we could actually take the lantern, the, like, Manolith thing, and it could be reasonable. At this point, like, our deck is mana hungry enough that I think Overgrowth is actually good, which is not something I would necessarily think almost ever. And in general, I don't want to play decks that are this mana hungry. But, like, for instance, we don't have a ton of stuff we're necessarily doing on turn 3, and this can make it so we go turn 3 into turn 4 5 drop or turn 4 6 drop. Makes our 7 drops more castable. But yeah, I actually do like Overgrowth here.
It's also the difference of the relics and the bullets being +1 mana and this is +2 mana.
Right.
That difference is huge for us.
Yeah, for sure. It basically, I mean, it's the reason it's like potentially more exciting than a land, because like a land drop just does the same thing as like a lot of mana rocks, right? And land drops don't cost mana. All you have to do is miss one land drop for a land to be basically as good, if not better, than a mana rock. Okay, interesting pack
I
here.
don't like any of this.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
I don't like anything. Mending Touch because it's on color. That's it.
You can take the blue stone. I don't know.
We were Gruul.
None of it's good for us.
Let's see what Patrick has to say about this. Touch. Okay, so we have a couple votes for Mending Touch. This pack I think is like sufficiently bad that I would just look at this thing and I would be like, I am never going to put any of these cards into my deck, but somebody is probably going to have to put a card from this pack into their deck. I think the best card in the pack is Warped Physique, because Warped Physique is just a really nice, efficient removal spell, but it is blue and black, and people don't really have an opportunity to pivot at this point, so there's a really good chance that this misses all the people who are in blue or in black. Whereas with a monocolored card, like for instance Rakdos Drake, there will be a black player. It's like guaranteed there will be someone in black, and they will be able to get a solid card in the Drake from the pack. So I would just straight up hate draft the Rakdos Drake, say, this pack sucks for me, now it's going to suck for everyone else. Maybe the blue-black player spikes the removal spell. There's a chance that it's actually better to just hate draft the Warped Physique since it is the strongest card in the pack, but I think it's fine to just take the Rakdos Drake and say, like, you know, this is like a guaranteed card that someone else would play, and now this pack might have no playables for anyone.
Actually, with that argument, this is a pick. So if the Warp Physique wasn't picked by now, has to be something like a bomb or something that the demon player skipped.
Or someone like
Should
really
not pick
greedily
Physique.
trying to wheel it. But yeah, same idea. Yeah. Okay, let's take this and move along. Ooh, nice. Okay.
Oh boy.
There we go. We get paid off with the land.
But
Oh, came back. Let's go.
is the land even better than the
Screw the rest.
Primarch though?
We're covering this.
The land is a tough one though, you know? It's not easy because like the question is how slow is the format going to be? And then we immediately die to Maze Rusher after casting Verdict. Yes, that's the plain air math for sure. Like Treva's Ruins is perfectly on color, right? Problem is we have a bunch of cards in our deck that are expensive or, you know, like don't do anything immediately, that kind of thing. I actually think I am going to dare to say I think this might even be pretty clear cut. I think this is a Kavu Primarch. And the reason I would take Kavu Primarch here is because even though Treva's Ruins like fixes our mana, and that's really important, like we're trying as hard as we can to cast our 6 and 7 drops on time. We've got Overgrowth in our deck. We've got Farseek in our deck. We've got Nylea's Presence to help us hit land drops and fix our colors. we have the Sparrow's Adjudicators. The thing about the Primarch, it might not look as good as, you know, the Nessian Courser or even the Trained Armadon, and for the most part I would say it isn't. We still do have 3 white 2-drops and a 1-drop. And so just playing any of those cards, playing any of the 2-drops or the 1-drop on curve, will allow us to play the 3/3 Primarch on turn 3, which is like a totally solid thing. Like that is something we want to do in this deck if we can. Any objections?
Nope.
Okay.
Patrick's argument is actually kind of decent.
Okay.
Doesn't make sense, but it's kind of decent.
All right. I'll settle for that. Okay. This pack is horrible. Does anyone see a card that's not horrible in this pack? If so, please let me know, because I don't.
Ivy Dancer for the mirror.
Yeah, that's reasonable.
Nope.
Even though we already have so many flyers, we need more evasion.
Just take Ivy Dancer and keep moving.
Yeah, I mean, the other card that I would say is like somewhere in the realm of playable is actually the Viashino Slasher, just because it can have 2 power and it's a red 2-drop, and red has a really hard time with playable 2-drops in the older sets. But the nice thing about the Ivy Dancer is I don't want to play it, and I don't want like to board it in. But there's a world where someone else could board it in against us, and it could be good. So, sure, reasonable-ish hate draft with some technical upside. And then now this pack comes around. We're in the home stretch here.
How do these spots speaking voice?
It's funny. I think I would actually take the Desecration Plague from this pack. The Cyclops is okay, but 6 mana for a 5/3 haste, like, sure, it does haste your next creature, but like realistically, it's a 6-drop. So, you know, you're not going to be casting a lot of stuff after this. And yeah, like, Plague is not an exciting card for the sideboard. Plague is basically a card that says, like, did your opponent have some ridiculous unbeatable enchantment? And if so, now you have a little bit more equity against that in post-sideboard games. We have something similar already, right? We have the Tranquil Domain, but this can hit auras. We don't really care about blowing up lands, but we don't need to hate draft. None of these cards are good anyway, so we might as well take a sideboard card. Okay.
Roll a d4. I mean, it's the Dream Thief, obviously, because it's an evasion creature that sometimes can draw, but obviously not in this deck because.
Yeah, I think from here I would just take Dream Thief. Most of the time the card's just a 3-mana 2/1 flyer, which is like not particularly exciting. You could make an argument for Talonrend, but with a deck like this, I'm mainly worried about losing in the early game, because I think our late game is pretty strong. Do we ever die to Backlash? I don't think so, but maybe. But like, I don't know. I think it's possible. Like, Dream Thief is similarly hard to use if we go back to the 3/3 flyer with Surge. Like, most of the time, that text just doesn't matter. But if it ever does matter, then we're screwed. So, yeah. Okay.
Don't worry, we have the pacifism that gains life. We're fine.
That's true. That's what we're planning to use on the Talonrend. Okay, well, a very difficult pick here. I can't imagine what we're going to take. Do we take the very nice above rate on color card, or do we take the off color card that is not very exciting? Patrick says black card. Dang it, he saw right through me. I'll take the black card. No. All right.
You can even play the backside of it.
We can use the adventure with the Nylea's Presence Pog.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not the worst. Again, it's a make-believe world, but hey, it can happen.
Okay. Let's take the card that isn't a land, and then we're left with the Dehydration, which is not the most embarrassing thing ever. And that's that. So that's the deck. We ended up with something that's pretty powerful. It ended up looking like blue wasn't very open after all. Would we have had a stronger deck if we had taken the Fertile Ground? I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say the Razorfoot Griffin, as much as it is like a solid card, and I do like it. Yeah, with this deck in particular, sure, I think Fertile Ground would have helped. But I don't think most of the time like I expect my Chaos decks to end up like this. There's also a chance, of course, that I was just wrong. I am absolutely capable of being wrong. It happens all the time, in fact. um, but I think this deck is really good. I think we're in the correct colors. Our splash looks reasonable. Okay, Patrick's headed to bed. You guys probably have to go to bed as well. It's been already
Yeah. Have a good
3 hours
night,
even.
guys. It was really fun.
All right, sweet. Hope you guys, yeah, enjoyed and have a good President's Day. Hopefully, no one's working tomorrow. And talk to you guys later.
As well. Talk to you soon.
See you guys. It was fun. We need to do it again.
Yeah.
Definitely.
All right, nice. Now we have 2 decks to play against each other.
Yeah, we're getting better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right.
I'm peacing out. See you guys. Have a good weekend.
Bye, guys.
Have a good Monday.
Talk to you later. Okay, so now that we're here, Justin's still in there. He's okay. He's doing his thing. Let's quickly do some deck building. Yeah, I would buy probably better than Yavimaya Worm, and we might even prefer a Duskdale, or whoops, we might even prefer the Yavimaya to the Duskdale Worm. But yeah, let's just quickly do some deck building stuff here. So one of the nice things if we choose to play the Overgrowth is it still will work for the Primarch. The Fanbearer's kind of mana hungry, so that's reasonable. Yeah, there's certainly some picks we could have done differently in hindsight, though. This draft felt a lot more like we would have benefited from hindsight than the previous one that I did with those guys. But yeah, that's pretty much how it went when we were at CubeCon. It's just we were all in person. Barry was there, aka Depressed Duck. They were a lot more impressed by what I was saying the first time, probably because they hadn't heard me do this before. Also, did some like party tricks where I like glanced at the pack and then for like half a second and then told them every card in the pack and what it did and that kind of thing. But it's just a party trick, so yeah. Let's see. I think we probably still want the Carver. Probably still want Primal Boost. Yeah, I would want to play something very similar to this, but at this point we're looking to make some cuts. I think we can probably cut Overgrowth. I think we're not ramping that hard after we cut the Duskdale. And we could even cut the Yavimaya. Make the curve a lot better. Play 18 lands plus Farseek plus the Presence and the Adjudicators. And now our curve tops out at 5 with Supply Line, Cranes, Gingerbread, Hunter, Inspires, Adjudicators. We have like a good number of 4s, 3s, etc. I think this is what I would do. And then the combat tricks work. Yeah, this has got to be right. Just cut all the expensive stuff. It'll be reasonable sometimes out of the sideboard. And then I guess it's a question of how many islands would we play. So this is a blue source, this is a blue source, this is a blue source. We have 2 blue cards in the deck. We need the first island for the Farseek. That gives us 4 blue sources. Ideally, we would have a second blue. Then it becomes a question of how much... Thanks, Brotman. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, exactly. The Kavu Primarch does do a lot of work in the late game for us. Yeah. I guess you saw what I was saying on the Simic video, Brotman. The thing is, like, I do like green, and if I go back through the decks that I sent in the Discord, but if we go to the decks that I drafted, I played green every draft, I think. I think I played green every draft. Because here I had the Incubation Sack, and then I had the Mask or whatever of the Jade Crafter. Here, half my deck was green. here half my deck was green again. Actually, more than half this time. Actually, way more than half, because white was really closed. I forgot about that. And then here we had 3 green cards. But yeah, I actually just played green every time, which is unlike me for sure. But yeah, this deck looks pretty good. It wants 9/2/7. That's auto land. I would probably want... I can't imagine that it's better to have 8 plains than 8 forests when the green 2-drops fix our mana. Alright, Rotman, I guess I can't argue with that. The other thing about going up a forest is it makes pack 1 pick 1 better, the outmuscle. So I'll probably send them this deck at some point, which is how I would build it. Then we have some stuff in the sideboard as well. Briefly go into Twitter. Wait, am I still logged out on Twitter? Okay, well, we're logged out on Twitter, so I'm not going to deal with that right now. But we have a really good blue-red deck from whatever you call it, from the last time we did this, which was CubeCon. Anyway, I like this deck. I hope you guys enjoyed the draft. Hope you guys have enjoyed the stream. I hope everybody has a nice Monday. But yeah, that's it. See you guys next time.